Your attention is being bought, rented, and provoked. Most people think power is loud. They think power is the perfect comeback, the public correction, the final word that makes a room go silent. But the older you get, the more you begin to notice something darker and more realistic about the world. The people who truly control a room are usually not the ones talking the most. They are the ones who are hardest to pull out of themselves. There is a fake script society hands you very early. It tells you that if someone misunderstands you, you must explain. If someone insults you, you must answer. If someone doubts you, you must prove. If someone provokes you, you must react. But that script does not make you strong. It makes you available. It makes you predictable. It makes you easy to steer. And that is exactly why this topic matters. Because in a culture built on outrage, comparison, group pressure, office politics, online performance, and emotional bait, the person who cannot be pulled is the person who quietly begins to own their life. In this video, we are going to go much deeper than simple silence. We are going to talk about attention as currency, reaction as surrender, emotional detachment as strength, and the harsh social truth that many people do not want understanding from you at all. They want access to your energy. We will talk about arguments, validation, false urgency, strategic absence, toxic people, inner noise, and the discipline of staying unreadable in a world that profits from your overexposure. If you stay with me, the final sections will show you something even more important than how to handle difficult people. They will show you how to stop being manipulated by your own mind. Because the loudest enemy is not always outside you. Sometimes it is the voice inside you that keeps begging to be seen, defended, approved of, or emotionally relieved. And once you understand that, silence stops being a tactic. It becomes a form of freedom. So let us start where all of this really begins, not with your words, not with your reputation, but with your attention. Because whether the world is fair or fake, kind or cynical, ancient or modern, one rule never changes: whatever gets your attention gets your life. There is a currency you have been spending recklessly your entire life. You give it to people who despise you, to situations that drain you, and to a world that's designed to consume you. That currency is your attention. And because you give it away so freely, it loses its power. The more you react, the more you allow others to control your focus, the less control you have over your own life. Imagine how different your world could be if you began to reclaim that power. What would it look like to only give your attention to what truly matters, to the things and people who bring value to your life? Stoicism teaches us that the key to mastering our mind and emotions is the ability to choose where we direct our attention. By controlling this, we regain control over our peace, our energy, and ultimately our destiny. Imagine you're in a heated argument. Someone says something that triggers you, and immediately you feel the urge to respond, to defend yourself, to prove that you're right. But have you ever stopped to wonder why? Why do their words have so much power over your emotions? It's not just the words they say, but the meaning we assign to them. The emotions we attach to them. We react because we feel that if we don't, we'll lose something, our dignity, our respect, or perhaps control over the situation. But the truth is, the moment you react, you've already lost. You've given away your power to the situation, letting it dictate your feelings, your actions, your state of mind. Stoicism teaches us a simple but profound lesson. We can't control the actions of others, but we can always control how we respond to them. This is where real power lies, within our own response. In those moments of tension, when everything inside us wants to lash out, there's a quiet power in choosing to remain unshaken, choosing silence over reaction, calm over chaos. The thing is, most of us don't even realize how often we give our power away. Think about how many times you've argued with someone over something insignificant. Maybe it was a trivial comment, an unnecessary criticism, or an accusation that wasn't true. Did it change anything? Did it improve the situation? Or did it just escalate the tension? The fact is, when we react, we often add fuel to the fire. We make ourselves a part of the drama, a part of the chaos. But when we stop reacting, when we choose to be the calm in the storm, we break the cycle. We stop feeding into the drama and in doing so regain control of our emotional state. The peace you create for yourself when you choose not to respond is far more valuable than the fleeting satisfaction of being right in the moment. Consider how many times you've allowed other people's words or actions to ruin your day, your mood, your peace of mind. These are the moments where, without realizing it, you've let someone else's behavior dictate your emotional state. This is not to say that you should become passive or indifferent to everything around you. It's not about becoming a doormat or letting others walk all over you. It's about taking a step back and deciding which battles are worth fighting and which ones are not. In Stoicism, this idea is central. Not every confrontation requires a response. Not every insult or challenge is worth your time or energy. The key is learning when to engage and when to let go. Imagine for a moment that every time you're provoked, you respond with silence. Not because you have nothing to say, but because you've learned the power of choosing your moment. This doesn't mean that you should ignore the things that matter or avoid confronting issues when they arise. The true strength comes from discerning what's worth your attention and what isn't. What you allow to consume your mind is what shapes your experience of life. When you give your attention to every insult, every criticism, you're feeding the negativity. But when you withhold your attention from that which does not serve you, you build emotional resilience. You create a buffer between you and the world around you. Part 1: Attention is currency, and most people spend it like water. Think about an ordinary American morning. Before work even starts, the mind is already under attack. A notification, a news headline, a passive-aggressive text, an email that feels colder than it should, a social media post from someone doing better than you, a comment from a family member that lingers longer than it deserves. None of these things physically touch you. But each one asks the same question: will you hand me your mind for the next 5 minutes, the next hour, the rest of the day? This is where Stoicism becomes practical instead of decorative. Because attention is not some abstract spiritual concept. It is your daily energy budget. It is your emotional bandwidth. It is the difference between ending the day clear-headed or internally scattered. And in a society that monetizes distraction and rewards visible reaction, guarding your attention is already a rebellious act. This is also where a more ruthless, almost Machiavellian reading of modern life becomes useful. Not because you need to become manipulative, but because you need to stop being naive. Some systems do not merely tolerate your emotional instability. They benefit from it. Some people do not merely trigger you by accident. They learn your patterns and use them. Some social environments are not built to elevate your peace. They are built to test your vanity, provoke your insecurity, and keep you performing. If you do not see that clearly, you will keep treating every disturbance like a moral emergency. But once you see it, you begin to understand why silence, restraint, and selective engagement are not passive habits. They are how you stop subsidizing chaos with your own nervous system. If this resonates with you, consider subscribing as a step toward taking back control over your own life and mind. Every moment of focus you invest here is an investment in your growth. Think about the people you respect the most. What sets them apart? What is it about their presence that commands respect? More often than not, It's not their loudness or their constant need for attention, but their quiet confidence. They don't react to every little thing. They are secure in themselves, grounded and unshaken by the noise around them. This is the power of emotional detachment. It's the ability to observe without becoming entangled. It's not about being cold or indifferent. It's about being mindful of where you invest your energy. This is where the Stoic idea of virtue as its own reward becomes so powerful. Virtue is not about winning every argument or always being right. It's about mastering yourself. It's about cultivating inner peace regardless of the chaos around you. This is the practice of strategic detachment. It's not about running away from challenges, but about engaging with the world on your terms, from a place of strength, not weakness. The practice of ignoring is in essence a tool for mental freedom. It's the ability to walk through life not controlled by others' opinions, not swayed by fleeting emotions, but anchored in your own principles and values. And this doesn't mean you disengage from everything. It means you choose where to direct your attention with intention. You decide what's worth your energy and what's simply a distraction. The world will always throw challenges your way. People will test you. Situations will challenge you. And adversity will appear. But when you practice the art of ignoring, you're no longer a puppet reacting to external forces. You become the one in control. You become the master of your own mind. And in doing so, you regain your true power. This kind of emotional mastery doesn't happen overnight. It's a journey of self-awareness, of noticing when you're about to react and choosing a different path. It's a process of unlearning old habits, of stepping away from the automatic responses that once controlled you. And in that process, you'll find that your life becomes more peaceful, more focused, and more intentional. The less you react to the world, the more you can focus on what truly matters, your growth, your purpose, and your peace of mind. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. When you stop giving away your attention to everything that disturbs you, you take back your ability to shape your own thoughts, your own reality. As you begin to practice this, you'll notice something remarkable. The less you engage with unnecessary drama, the more control you have over your internal state. You stop reacting from a place of weakness and start responding from a place of strength. You understand that the world will always throw things at you, but you no longer have to catch them. The noise of the world becomes just that, background noise, not the soundtrack of your life. You begin to see people and situations clearly without the clouded judgment that comes from emotional reactivity. In the end, the art of ignoring is not about being indifferent or disconnected from life. It's about choosing where to focus your energy and how to protect your mental space. It's about being present, but not at the mercy of every passing emotion or external trigger. It's about finding strength in silence and peace in your own mind. When you stop reacting, you regain your power. And in that power, you find freedom. The moment you withhold your attention, you take back control of your mental space. Think about it. So much of your energy is spent reacting to others. You argue, you explain, you defend, you justify. But what if none of that was necessary? What if you could free yourself from this cycle? The people who thrive on your reactions, whether it's drama, insults, or simply demanding your energy, only continue to do so because they've learned that you'll give it. They feed off your emotional response. But when you stop giving them that satisfaction, you begin to break the cycle. And the more you practice this, the more you begin to realize just how much power you've been giving away without even knowing it. By withdrawing, you send a clear message. You don't control me. It's liberating not just for the person on the other end, but for yourself. By choosing silence, by choosing to not react, you regain a sense of peace. You're no longer a slave to other people's whims or words. And in that freedom, you find a greater sense of self. It's interesting how we often associate silence with weakness, with indifference, or even with avoiding confrontation. But in reality, silence can be one of the most powerful tools in our emotional arsenal. People expect a response. They expect you to fight back, to argue, to justify yourself. But when you refuse to engage, you shift the entire power dynamic. It's not about avoiding conflict. It's about choosing how to engage with it. The silence isn't about running away from the challenge. It's about standing your ground. It's about knowing that you don't need to prove yourself to anyone. The more you practice this, the more you start to notice how people react when you don't react. They become confused. They become anxious. They wonder why you're not engaging. And this uncertainty works in your favor. When you stop reacting, you stop reinforcing their behavior. Their attempts to provoke you lose their potency. The moment they realize they cannot manipulate you through their words, they lose their power over you. But here's where it gets even more interesting. You're not just teaching them a lesson by withholding your attention. You're teaching yourself something even more valuable by resisting the urge to react. You're proving to yourself that your peace is more important than any external drama. You're practicing emotional mastery. This is a fundamental Stoic principle. Control over your own responses. No matter what the world throws at you, the more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. You begin to stop giving your energy to things that don't matter, to people who don't respect you, to situations that only drain you. You start to reclaim your time, your focus, and your energy. The beauty of this practice lies in its simplicity. It doesn't require you to say anything. It doesn't require you to take action. It just requires you to not engage with things that don't deserve your time. As a Stoic, you're taught that your mind is your most precious possession. No one should have the power to control it without your consent. And when you stop reacting, you assert that control. It's important to remember that this isn't just about external relationships. It's about internal mastery as well. Often we seek validation or approval from others because we're unsure of ourselves. We let our emotional state be determined by how others perceive us or react to us. But the more you withhold your attention from the distractions and external noise, the more you begin to turn inward and trust yourself. It's a practice of self-reliance. The Stoic philosophers understood that the key to living a peaceful and purposeful life wasn't about seeking approval from the world, but aligning yourself with your own values. No matter what external circumstances arise, when you choose to detach from external validation, you strengthen your internal foundation. You begin to define your worth not by what others think of you, but by what you know to be true about yourself. You don't need anyone's approval to be at peace. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. By withstanding the urge to react, you not only protect your own peace, but you also learn a deeper level of self-discipline. This isn't just about ignoring someone's insults or avoiding petty drama. It's about training yourself to be unaffected by the world around you. It's about becoming so grounded in your own sense of self that nothing can shake you. Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." Reacting to every little thing, letting the small irritations of life dictate our emotional state, is a waste of precious time and energy. Instead, we should focus on what truly matters. We should direct our attention toward the things that nourish us, the things that help us grow. Every time you resist the urge to react, you reclaim a piece of yourself. And in the long run, you'll find that the more you practice this, the less you need to react. The less you care about what others think, the more freedom you have to focus on your own journey. You become the master of your own emotions. And with that mastery comes true strength. You see, people crave attention, especially those who are toxic, manipulative, or simply insecure. It's a fundamental aspect of human nature. We all seek validation in one way or another. But some people, especially those who thrive on creating drama, go a step further. They seek validation through provoking others, through causing emotional reactions. When you consistently give them your attention, you reinforce their belief that they matter. You give them the power to shape your emotional state, to dictate your reactions. But what if you stopped? What if instead of reacting to their attempts to provoke you, you started to view their actions as nothing more than background noise? Just like you don't react to the sound of a distant dog barking, why should you react to someone who's constantly seeking validation from you? The moment you stop responding, the moment you refuse to be drawn into their drama, their power over you starts to fade. This is not about ignoring people entirely or being passive. It's about shifting your perspective. It's about understanding that their actions, their words, their behavior no longer have to affect you. When you stop reacting, you take back control of your energy. You stop feeding into the chaos they create. And in doing so, you give yourself the space to find peace. Imagine someone insults you, tries to bait you into an argument, or plays a manipulative game. In the past, you might have felt the immediate urge to fight back, to prove them wrong, to defend yourself. But now, instead of engaging, you simply observe. You let their words pass by, just like you'd ignore the noise of a barking dog that has no impact on your life. It's easy to get caught up in the emotional tug-of-war that toxic people try to create. They know how to push your buttons, how to get under your skin, but the more you engage, the more power you give them over your life. So, what would happen if instead of reacting, you simply stopped? You'd stop feeding their need for drama. You'd stop validating their behavior. You'd take away the very thing they crave, your attention. And in doing so, you take back your power. It's like a game of tug-of-war where instead of pulling back, you simply let go of the rope. They're left holding nothing, and you are free to move forward, unburdened by the weight of their manipulation. By refusing to engage with toxic people on their terms, you begin to realize that you don't have to fight every battle. Not everything deserves your attention. Not everyone's opinion matters. And by taking a step back, by refusing to react, you start to carve out the space you need to focus on what truly matters. You stop wasting your energy on things that drain you. And instead, you start investing it in the things that uplift and empower you. When you learn the art of ignoring, you learn the art of self-control. You learn how to maintain your peace amidst chaos. And this doesn't just apply to toxic people. It applies to situations, to challenges, to everything that tries to disturb your equilibrium. Part 2, the urge to react is usually the urge to protect an identity. A person says something sharp in a meeting. A relative makes a cutting remark at dinner. A stranger online twists your words. A partner says, "That's not what you said before." And before logic even catches up, something ancient inside you rises. The chest tightens. The mind rehearses lines. The body prepares not for understanding, but for defense. That moment matters more than most people realize. Because what rises in that instant is not wisdom. It is identity protection. It is the mind saying, "I cannot let myself be seen this way. I cannot let that comment sit. I cannot let this version of me exist in their eyes." That is why so many arguments are never about the stated issue. They are about status, image, dignity, pride, and the panic of being misunderstood. The more honest you become about that, the less ashamed you need to feel about being human. Stoicism is not about pretending you never feel the surge. It is about recognizing the surge before it becomes behavior. It is about noticing that the first draft of your reaction is often written by fear, not character. And this is where the script becomes more self-reflective and more useful for real life. Because maybe you have done this before. Maybe you have replayed a conversation on the drive home. Maybe you have typed out a long message and deleted it. Maybe you have spent a full day emotionally chained to one sentence somebody said in 30 seconds. That is not weakness. That is what unexamined reactivity feels like. But it does not have to be permanent. You become the calm in the storm, the unshaken anchor in a world that constantly pulls at you. And in that calmness, you find your true strength. You stop reacting to the noise around you and start creating your own sense of order, your own sense of purpose. This is the power of not engaging. The power of taking back your attention and directing it where it truly matters. You may be wondering though how this applies to your day-to-day life. How can you put this into practice? It starts small. It starts with those little moments when you feel the urge to react, when someone cuts you off in traffic, when someone makes a passive-aggressive comment, or when a friend or colleague tries to manipulate you emotionally. Instead of reacting, take a breath, pause, and choose to remain in control. Choose to direct your attention toward your own peace, toward your own goals. The more you practice this, the easier it becomes. Eventually, it will become second nature. You'll stop giving your attention to the things that don't deserve it. You'll stop feeding the drama and you'll start living a life that's truly yours to control. This isn't manipulation. It's not about playing games or trying to make people chase you for no reason. It's a simple truth about human nature. People respect what's scarce. If you're always there, always showing up, always giving, there's nothing rare or special about you. But if you hold back, if you reserve your time and energy for those who truly matter or for things that truly deserve your attention, you become a rare commodity. And people, whether they admit it or not, are drawn to that. It's the same reason why we place value on things that are hard to obtain. A rare gem, a limited edition, an exclusive experience. These are things we want because they're not easily accessible. When you make yourself less accessible, you're sending a message that your time and energy are precious, that they must be earned, not taken for granted. Think about yourself as a rare jewel. There are only a few people who should be allowed close enough to admire it. Not everyone deserves that privilege. Just like any precious thing in life, your attention should be valued and guarded. This doesn't mean you shut people out or become cold. It simply means you become more discerning about where you direct your focus. You stop giving it to people who don't respect it and start giving it to those who do. You begin to choose where you place your energy wisely instead of giving it away freely to anyone who asks. Carl Jung once said, "You are what you do, not what you say you'll do." In the same way, your time and attention reflect who you are. When you give it to everyone indiscriminately, you reflect the idea that you have nothing of value to offer. But when you choose where to place it, when you reserve it for those who truly matter, you show the world that your energy is valuable. The key here is respect. Respect for yourself, for your time, and for your emotional energy. It's not about being rude or ignoring people out of spite. It's about recognizing that your presence should be earned, that you should never feel obligated to give away your attention just because someone demands it. Respect for your time means knowing that you don't owe anyone your focus unless they offer something meaningful in return. And in doing so, you regain control over your life and your peace. Imagine walking through life with a sense of calm, knowing that you no longer have to react to every person or situation that tries to pull you in. You are the one in control. And people begin to notice that when they see that you're not easily swayed or pulled into every drama, they start to respect you more. You are no longer just a participant in the chaos of the world. You become the one who stands outside of it, unaffected, unshaken, and in control. This shift in how you handle your attention can be transformative. Not only does it change how others perceive you, but it changes how you perceive yourself. You stop seeing yourself as someone who is constantly at the mercy of other people's needs. You stop feeling like you need to prove your worth by always being there for others. Instead, you begin to understand that your worth is intrinsic. It's not based on how much you can give, but on how much you choose to give and to whom. You don't have to be everyone's go-to person or the one who fixes every problem. When you withhold your attention, you create the space to focus on the things that truly matter to you. Whether it's personal growth, relationships that truly nourish you, or your own peace of mind, you now have the time and energy to devote to what aligns with your values. This process takes time. It's not easy to stop reacting, especially when you're used to being the one who's always there, always available. But with practice, it becomes second nature. You begin to notice the difference in your life as you stop giving away your energy. You feel less drained, less stressed, and more in control. And most importantly, you begin to realize how much of your emotional energy was spent on things and people that didn't deserve it. With that realization comes freedom. Freedom from the constant need to react. Freedom from the pressure to be everything for everyone. And with that freedom comes a deeper sense of peace. You learn to prioritize your energy to give it to what truly matters. And in doing so, you not only gain respect from others, but also from yourself. You start living life on your own terms. No longer at the mercy of the demands of others. Your attention is yours to give. And when you choose not to give it, you reclaim your power. Now, you may be thinking, but what if this person truly needs my attention? What if they're trying to connect? It's natural to want to help or engage with people, especially those who are important to us. The idea of withholding attention can feel cold, even wrong. But here's where the Stoic mindset becomes invaluable. True connection, according to Stoicism, isn't about constantly giving your energy to others, especially when they take without offering anything in return. It's about mutual respect. Respect for yourself and for the people around you. When you give away your attention to those who only take, you're diminishing your own value. But when you choose to withhold it, you're not devaluing the other person. You're protecting your own peace, your own mental space, and your emotional well-being. Think of it like this. When you stop reacting to someone's behavior, you force them to confront themselves. It's a subtle but powerful shift. Instead of giving them your emotional response, which is exactly what they want, you take away their ability to provoke you. In that silence, they're no longer receiving the validation they crave. And in that moment, they're left to reflect on their actions, to see their own behavior for what it truly is. The people who are constantly trying to provoke, to manipulate, or to create drama thrive on getting a rise out of others. They've learned that their words or actions have the power to disturb your peace. But when you stop feeding into their narrative, they lose that power. Carl Jung once said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." When you stop reacting, you give them the space to reflect on why they seek that attention, why they feel the need to provoke or control. In this way, the power dynamic shifts. They start to question their own behavior, and in that questioning they often reveal their own flaws. This doesn't mean you should become dismissive or avoid all difficult conversations. The goal isn't to shut people out completely, but to recognize when their actions are drawing you into a space that doesn't serve your peace. It's about creating a boundary, a protective layer around your emotional energy. Not everyone who seeks your attention has good intentions. Not everyone who wants to connect is coming from a place of honesty or mutual respect. By recognizing this, you take control of your emotional responses. Instead of letting someone's behavior dictate your mood, you learn to decide when and where your attention should go. When you withdraw your attention from someone who has proven to be draining or manipulative, you're not punishing them. You're simply choosing to invest your energy in places that nourish you, in relationships that offer balance and respect. When you start practicing this, you may notice that those who have been taking advantage of your energy will begin to notice your absence. They may try harder to provoke you to get a reaction. But instead of feeling frustrated or upset, you begin to recognize their attempts for what they are, an effort to manipulate your emotions. This realization is liberating. The more you practice not reacting, the more you realize how often you've been manipulated without even knowing it. And with this knowledge comes empowerment. You begin to realize that you are in charge of your own emotional state. You are the one who decides what deserves your energy and attention. And when you stop reacting, you stop feeding into someone else's game. You take away their ability to control you. There is incredible strength in choosing not to react. It's a form of resilience that doesn't rely on fighting back or proving a point. Instead, it comes from a deep understanding that your peace and your energy are yours to protect. When you choose to remain unaffected by someone's attempts to provoke you, you become emotionally untouchable. You stop being a pawn in their game and start becoming the master of your own emotions. This emotional mastery doesn't come from reacting or engaging with every situation. It comes from the wisdom to know when to hold your ground, when to remain silent, and when to step back. The more you practice this, the easier it becomes. You start to see people for who they truly are without being clouded by your emotional responses. You stop seeing every comment, every criticism, or every slight as a personal attack. Instead, you begin to see them for what they are, external noise that has no real power over you unless you let it. When you stop giving people the emotional reaction they want, they are left with nothing. They are forced to confront their own insecurities and behaviors. And in that silence, you begin to find peace. The beauty of this practice is that it's available to you at all times. You don't need any special tools or skills. All it takes is the choice to stop reacting, to stop feeding into the drama, and to start protecting your own peace. The more you practice this, the more you'll notice a shift in how you feel. You'll stop feeling drained by others and instead you'll start to feel energized by the choices you make. You'll realize that you have the power to control your emotional state no matter what's going on around you. This is not about shutting people out or becoming cold. It's about recognizing your worth, your boundaries, and your need for peace. When you stop giving away your attention to things that don't matter, you start giving it to the things that do. By withholding your attention from those who seek to drain you, you reclaim your power. It's a simple yet profound shift that can change the way you experience the world. And with this power comes peace. Peace from the constant need for validation. Peace from the never-ending drama. And peace in knowing that you control where your energy goes. The more you practice this, the more you'll find yourself living a life that's truly yours to create. The true power of ignoring comes when you master it not just with others but within yourself. How often do you find yourself giving your attention to thoughts, fears, and insecurities that don't serve you? The constant stream of worries, doubts, and internal noise can be just as distracting, if not more so, than the external drama you try to avoid. We all experience it. That nagging voice in your head that tells you you're not good enough. That you're bound to fail or that others are judging you. The problem is when you let these thoughts take up your mental space, you're no different than someone who's always reacting to the drama and chaos of the outside world. The more you focus on these internal distractions, the more you allow them to control you. The Stoics understood this fundamental truth that real strength comes from the ability to control your internal dialogue. From knowing which thoughts deserve your attention and which ones you can simply let go. Imagine for a moment that you've just made a mistake. Maybe a small one, maybe something bigger. Now think about how your mind reacts. Do you beat yourself up? Do you replay the mistake over and over again, making yourself feel worse and worse? Or perhaps you're caught up in worrying about what others think of you, convinced that their judgment defines your worth. This constant cycle of self-criticism and worry is a form of mental reactivity. It's the same as reacting to every external drama or provocation. It drains your energy and keeps you stuck. Instead of moving forward, you're stuck in a loop of negative thoughts and emotions. But what if instead of feeding that cycle, you simply ignored it? What if you chose not to give your attention to the worries and doubts that constantly arise? Learning to ignore your own mind's distractions is a form of emotional intelligence. It's the ability to step back and observe your thoughts without becoming consumed by them. The more you practice this, the easier it becomes to navigate your inner world without getting swept up in every negative thought or self-criticism. You learn to recognize the patterns in your thinking, and instead of reacting to them, you simply let them pass. This is not an easy skill to master, and it takes time. But as you continue to practice, you'll find that the noise in your mind becomes less loud and less frequent. You begin to create space for clarity, focus, and peace. The beauty of this practice is that it frees you from the tyranny of your own thoughts. So much of our suffering comes not from the world around us, but from the stories we tell ourselves about what's happening. We catastrophize. We assume the worst. And we let our minds run wild with what-ifs. But when you learn to ignore the mental chatter that doesn't serve you, you can shift your focus to what's real, what's important, and what you can control. You stop wasting energy on things that don't matter. And you start using that energy to create the life you want. This is the ultimate freedom, the freedom to choose your thoughts, to choose where you focus, and to take control of your mental space. The more you practice this, the more you begin to recognize how much of your mental energy was being wasted on things that didn't need your attention. It's like cleaning out a cluttered room in your mind. When you remove the distractions, you create space for what truly matters. And as you create this mental clarity, you begin to notice how much more peace you experience in your day-to-day life. You become less affected by external chaos, less influenced by the opinions of others, and more focused on your own path. The Stoics believed that the key to a good life was to align yourself with nature, to live in accordance with what is in your control and to let go of what is not. This principle of inner control, of choosing to ignore the distractions, is central to that philosophy. It's about living intentionally without being swayed by the noise of the world. Mastering the art of ignoring your own distractions is a skill that once learned opens the door to true inner peace. It's a process of becoming less reactive, more intentional, and more grounded in your own values. When you stop letting your mind run wild with negativity and self-doubt, you open up space for growth, creativity, and a deeper connection with yourself. This is the path to emotional resilience and mental strength, the ability to face challenges without being overwhelmed, to stay focused on what matters, and to keep moving forward with purpose. And as you walk this path, you'll find that the world around you begins to shift. You no longer feel at the mercy of external circumstances or your own mind. You are the one in control. And that control is the key to creating a life that is truly your own. This brings us to the final most important aspect of the art of ignoring. Part 3, Silence in conflict, not weakness, but control. There is a kind of silence that comes from fear, and there is a kind of silence that comes from self-possession. The world confuses the two all the time. It assumes that if you do not respond immediately, you must be intimidated. But mature people begin to see a very different reality. Sometimes the strongest person in the room is the one who is least desperate to correct the room. You see this at work. One person gets interrupted and immediately fights for airtime. Another pauses, lets the room reveal itself, then speaks once and changes the temperature of the conversation. You see it in family systems too. One person chases every misunderstanding. Another refuses to perform their pain for an audience and quietly keeps their center. The difference is not personality. It is command over attention. What makes silence powerful is not mystery for its own sake. It is what silence interrupts. It interrupts escalation. It interrupts the expectation that you can be pulled. It interrupts the emotional rhythm the other person was counting on. And often, when your reaction does not arrive, the other person starts revealing more than they intended. Their insecurity becomes visible. Their motives become clearer. Their urgency starts sounding hollow. The trap works only if you step into it. This is why choosing silence in certain moments feels almost supernatural to the reactive mind. It feels unnatural because the ego wants immediate relief. It wants to restore status now. It wants the room to know now. It wants the text answered now. But the adult mind slowly learns a harder lesson: immediate relief is expensive. It often costs peace, leverage, clarity, and self-respect. What if the real flex is not that you can destroy someone verbally? What if the real flex is that you no longer need to? What if the real shift in power happens the moment the other person realizes they cannot enter your nervous system on demand? That is when silence stops being empty. It becomes a boundary they can feel. The ability to remain present without becoming consumed by the world around you. It's easy to fall into the trap of reacting to everything, of getting swept up in the chaos of everyday life, people, situations, events. They all demand your attention, your energy, your emotions. But what if you could walk through life unaffected by the noise? What if you could choose where to direct your energy rather than giving it away to every distraction that comes your way? That's the true power of ignoring. It's not about running away from life or retreating into isolation. It's about choosing what deserves your energy. It's about being able to be fully present in your life without being consumed by every external force. You decide what matters and you focus on that without getting derailed by anything that doesn't serve your purpose. When you stop seeking validation from others and start focusing on your own growth, you gain a power that is unstoppable. You no longer rely on the approval or attention of others to define your worth. Instead, you become your own source of validation. Your self-worth comes from within, not from the opinions of those around you. This is liberating. It's the foundation of personal strength. When you are no longer chasing the approval of others, you become free to pursue what truly matters to you. You no longer have to live by the rules set by the expectations of others. You define your own path, your own purpose, and your own success. As Carl Jung said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. And becoming who you truly are begins with ignoring the external noise and focusing on your own internal growth. The world will always try to drag you into its chaos. There will always be people who want to pull you into their drama, events that demand your attention, and distractions that try to steer you off course. But by practicing the art of ignoring, you can remain anchored. The key is to stay focused on your own goals and to resist the temptation to react to everything that's happening around you. Like a stoic emperor, you walk through the marketplace of life unbothered, knowing that you control your mind, your attention, and ultimately your destiny. It's not about ignoring life or pretending that everything is perfect. It's about not letting life's chaos dictate your emotions or actions. You choose what you give your attention to, and in doing so, you regain control of your inner world. This is where true power lies. Not in reacting to the world around you, but in choosing to remain anchored, grounded, and focused. When you stop seeking external validation, you stop giving away your power. You reclaim control over your emotions, your energy, and your actions. You become the master of your own destiny. And nothing on the outside can take that from you. It's a practice. It takes time and discipline. But once you begin to master it, you'll notice a shift. You'll notice how much more peaceful you feel, how much more in control you are of your life, and how much less power the world has over you. Of course, this doesn't mean you become detached or indifferent to others. It simply means you learn to set boundaries. You learn to give your energy to the things that truly matter, your growth, your relationships, your purpose. And you learn to ignore the things that drain you, that don't contribute to your well-being, and that try to pull you into negativity. As the Stoics teach, we can't control what happens in the world, but we can control how we respond to it. By choosing not to react, you take back your power, and in doing so, you create a life that is truly yours, one where you are in control, unshaken by the world around you. Imagine walking through your day with this kind of clarity and control. Imagine not being pulled into arguments, drama, or distractions. Imagine being able to move through the world with purpose and focus. Always directing your energy toward what serves your growth. This is the power of ignoring. Not out of apathy or avoidance, but out of strength. When you learn to ignore the distractions, the noise, and the negativity, you create the space to focus on what matters. You become less reactive and more proactive, more intentional with your energy and attention. The beauty of this practice is that it can be applied to every aspect of your life. Whether it's dealing with difficult people, managing your time, or navigating challenging situations, the art of ignoring allows you to maintain your peace and stay focused on your goals. It gives you the mental space to think clearly, make better decisions, and stay on track. You stop letting the world's chaos control you, and instead you become the calm center in your own life. As you continue to practice ignoring, you'll find that you no longer need external validation. You no longer need to react to everything. Instead, you learn to move through the world with quiet confidence, knowing that your peace, your purpose, and your energy are in your control. And the more you practice, the stronger you become. You learn to navigate life with grace, purpose, and resilience. You learn that true power comes from within and that by mastering the art of ignoring, you gain the freedom to live your life on your own terms. By mastering the art of ignoring, you reclaim your power, your peace, and your focus. You stop reacting to the noise and start living with intention anchored in your own strength. Remember, the world will always try to pull you in different directions. But the true power lies in choosing where to place your energy. Stay grounded, stay focused, and always protect your inner world. Keep investing in yourself and your growth. Your heart is a liability. It's a traitor living inside your chest, convincing you that passion, excitement, and desire are the true paths to success. You were told to follow it, to trust your emotions as if they were guiding you toward greatness. But what if everything you've been taught about following your heart is wrong? What if the emotions you trust the most are the very things holding you back? The Stoics understood something most people never realize. True power does not come from being ruled by your feelings. It comes from mastering them, from rising above the chaos inside you and choosing clarity over reaction. In a world where most people are pulled in every direction by their emotions, the ones who stay steady, who think before they react, are the ones who hold the real power. Have you ever noticed how emotions can take over your life? One moment you're on top of the world, the next you're spiraling into despair or worse, making rash decisions that only bring regret. That text you shouldn't have sent, that decision you made because you were too emotional. What do they all have in common? Emotion. It's the source of so many mistakes. And yet, it's the one thing most people cling to. Society teaches you that your heart should lead, but that's a dangerous game. When you let your emotions control you, you become vulnerable to manipulation, to failure, to disappointment. And here's the truth. Emotions make you reactive, impulsive, easy to manipulate. There's no wisdom in that, only chaos. In a world that constantly encourages emotional expression, the real challenge is learning to detach from those impulses. When you step back, you gain perspective. You begin to see the bigger picture, the consequences of your actions before they unfold. Emotional detachment isn't about shutting yourself off from feelings. It's about gaining control over them. It's about using them, not letting them use you. And here's the paradox. The more you disconnect from your emotions, the more control you gain over them. Think about it. If you react emotionally to everything, you lose your power. You are no longer the driver of your own life. But when you hold back, when you let your mind take charge, you can act strategically in a way that serves your long-term goals. But this shift isn't something that happens overnight. It's a practice, a daily effort to detach from your impulses, to pause before responding. The truth is, you're not your emotions. They are signals, not commands. You are the observer, the one who watches without being swept away. When you learn to separate yourself from your feelings, you no longer let them dictate your reality. You can face challenges with a clear mind because you've trained yourself to be unaffected by the noise of your emotions. This doesn't mean you stop feeling. It means you stop letting your feelings control you. And once you make that shift, you start to see the world through a different lens. One that is not clouded by fear, anger, or desire. Imagine walking into any situation with a calm, collected mind. No matter what's happening around you, you remain unaffected. You don't get rattled when someone disrespects you. You don't panic when things go wrong. You simply assess, think, and act. This ability to remain calm in the face of adversity is where true power lies. It's not in being loud, in seeking validation, or in reacting to every external stimulus. True power is quiet. It is steady. It is the ability to stand firm while the world around you trembles. And it is a skill you can cultivate. If this way of thinking resonates with you, stay with StoicCraft. Not to collect another motivational idea, but to build a mindset that helps you remain steady while the world around you loses control. Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Our minds often exaggerate our emotional responses. We catastrophize. We spiral. We imagine worst-case scenarios. And all of this drains our energy and clouds our judgment. But what if you could stop yourself in those moments of panic and instead of letting the emotion take over, you paused? What if you could replace fear with clarity, worry with action? By refusing to engage in the emotional turmoil, you begin to shape your reality. You stop the endless cycles of overthinking and you start making decisions from a place of peace. That's the shift I'm talking about. Turning away from the emotional noise that surrounds you and stepping into a space where only your rational mind reigns. It's in this space that you make the best decisions, the ones that move you forward instead of pulling you back. The more you practice this detachment, the more natural it becomes. Eventually, it becomes second nature. You stop reacting and you start responding with purpose. But detachment doesn't mean isolation. It doesn't mean you stop caring. In fact, it's the opposite. By learning to detach emotionally, you begin to care about the things that truly matter. You become more focused, more intentional with your actions because your energy is no longer wasted on fleeting emotions. You stop getting swept up in the drama of life and you start to see everything more clearly. And in that clarity, you find the ability to make your next move with precision and power. Imagine waking up every day knowing that your emotions won't control you. That no matter what happens, whether you face rejection, failure, or success, you'll stay steady. You won't be the leaf tossed around by the wind. Instead, you'll be the tree standing firm and strong. This is what emotional detachment can give you, the ability to stand your ground no matter the storm. And when you can do that, you unlock your true potential. You stop being a victim of your circumstances and become the creator of your own destiny. So where do you start? It begins with awareness. Start noticing when your emotions are driving your actions. When you feel anger rising, stop and ask yourself, why am I reacting this way? What's the deeper fear or desire behind this feeling? By questioning your emotions, you begin to separate yourself from them. You create space between the feeling and the response. And in that space, you gain control. This isn't about shutting off your emotions or pretending they don't exist. It's about seeing them for what they are. Temporary, fleeting, and often misleading. When you stop giving them so much power, you give yourself the freedom to act from a place of clarity and strength. You stop being at the mercy of your emotional impulses and instead you become the one who decides how to respond. This is how you win. By mastering yourself, by controlling your reactions, and by taking ownership of your life. When you stop reacting, when you stop letting every small setback throw you off course, you become stronger. It's like a storm that can't touch the ground. Think of a ship in the middle of a storm. The waves crash, the winds howl, but the ship stays steady, cutting through the waves because it has a strong rudder. That's what emotional detachment gives you. It gives you a rudder. It keeps you on course no matter how fierce the winds are. Emotions will come and go like waves. But you don't have to be swept away by them. You don't have to be tossed around. Instead, you learn to navigate, to steer your life with precision. You start to see every challenge as an opportunity to practice this skill. Every moment of tension, every moment of doubt is just a chance for you to anchor yourself deeper. The less you let your emotions control you, the more you control the direction of your life. The key here is consistency. Emotional detachment isn't a skill you master once and then forget about. It's a constant practice, a daily choice to remain calm, to stay grounded no matter what happens. Life will test you. People will challenge you. But with every test, you have a choice. Will you react emotionally or will you stay steady? Will you let the world dictate how you feel or will you take charge of how you respond? This doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you don't let those feelings drive your actions. You acknowledge them, but you don't act on them immediately. You take a moment, you breathe, and you respond with intention. This gives you an edge that most people will never have. You become the one in control, the one who isn't easily swayed, the one who is prepared for anything. Most people live their lives in reaction to the world. They feel the ups and downs, and they let those emotions decide their fate. But when you detach from those reactions, you free yourself from the whims of the world. You don't have to follow the emotional roller coaster that others are on. You can stay steady, stay focused, and stay true to your path. This is what allows you to move through life with purpose. When you detach from the constant pull of emotions, you create the space to think clearly, to make better decisions, and to keep moving forward no matter what obstacles come your way. You stop being a victim of circumstance, and you become the master of your own destiny. But this doesn't come easily. It requires practice, self-awareness, and a willingness to face the discomfort of not reacting. It's hard at first. You'll want to respond immediately when something triggers you, but the more you practice, the easier it becomes. You learn to pause before you act. You learn to let go of the need for validation, for approval, and for certainty. You start to understand that you don't need to control everything around you. You just need to control how you respond to it. The world can be as chaotic as it wants to be, but you have the power to remain calm in the center of it all. Epictetus once said, "We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them." This simple truth is at the core of emotional detachment. You don't need to control the world. You need to control yourself. Your reactions are the only things you truly own in this world. And when you learn to control them, you can control your life. It's a liberating feeling knowing that no matter what happens, you have the power to remain steady. You don't have to be swept away by the world. You can choose to stand firm no matter what storm is raging around you. As you continue to detach from your emotions, you'll notice something remarkable happening. You start to make better decisions. You stop letting fear or anxiety cloud your judgment. You stop making decisions based on what feels good in the moment. And you start making decisions based on what will serve your long-term goals. This is where the real power lies. Most people live for the moment, making decisions based on how they feel right now. But when you detach from those feelings, you can make decisions with a clear mind, without the influence of immediate emotions. And that's when you start to win, because the people who can think clearly, who can act without being driven by their feelings, are the ones who succeed. This isn't about being emotionless. It's about mastering your emotions, not letting them control you. It's about choosing when to feel and when to stay focused. Emotional detachment is not a lack of emotion. It's the ability to act without being controlled by it. It's the freedom to respond to life's challenges with clarity and purpose. It's the power to take control of your life no matter what's happening around you. And once you've mastered this, you'll realize that nothing can stop you. Not fear, not anger, not frustration. You become unshakable. The practice of emotional detachment is an ongoing process. It takes time, but with each step, you'll find yourself more centered, more focused, and more in control. You'll stop reacting to the world, and instead you'll start shaping it. You'll move through life with purpose, knowing that you are the one in charge, and that is where true power lies. But how do you achieve this emotional detachment? It starts with understanding your own biology. Your brain is wired to react, to feel, to follow your impulses. Evolution didn't design you to thrive in the modern world. It designed you to survive. Your ancestors didn't need to plan years ahead. They needed to react quickly to threats, whether it was an animal, another tribe, or a changing environment. The problem is, your brain's ancient wiring doesn't serve you anymore. It's like outdated software running on a powerful computer. It's glitching. In today's world, those survival instincts don't help you navigate business meetings or personal growth. Instead, they hold you back. Fear no longer protects you from lions. It holds you back from making tough decisions. Anxiety no longer helps you survive. It keeps you stuck in place, hesitating when you should be moving forward. The fight-or-flight response isn't suited for everyday life anymore. It's a hindrance. And this is why you must fight against your own biology. You must learn to turn off that emotional response and stay in control. It's not easy. Your instincts have been honed over millions of years, but they aren't always helpful now. Take fear for instance. In the past, it was a powerful tool. It kept you alert. It made you act quickly to avoid danger. But now fear often surfaces in situations where no danger exists, like starting a new project or asking for what you deserve. It paralyzes you, feeding you worst-case scenarios. The trick is not to ignore fear, but to acknowledge it and move forward anyway. The more you learn to control your reactions, the more power you have over your life. This control is not about suppressing your emotions. That would only create inner conflict. Instead, it's about recognizing your emotions for what they are. Biological signals, not commands. These signals aren't supposed to dictate your behavior, but too often they do. That's where the real work begins. Observing your emotions without getting swept away by them. The less you let them rule your decisions, the more you control your life. Once you understand that your mind is working with outdated software, you can begin to reprogram it. You can begin to see your emotions as tools, not as masters. And this shift in perspective is what makes all the difference. Once you detach emotionally, you begin to think with clarity. You stop reacting to every bump in the road. Instead, you start analyzing situations with a calm mind. It's like stepping out of the chaos and into the driver's seat. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes time and practice. But every moment you don't react emotionally, you strengthen your ability to stay calm in the face of adversity. You start making decisions with intention, not impulse. This doesn't mean you stop feeling. It means you stop letting feelings decide your actions. It's a powerful way to live, and it's what allows you to navigate life's challenges with grace. As you begin to master your emotions, you'll notice a shift in the way you approach life. You stop overreacting to things that used to send you into a spiral. You stop worrying about what others think. You stop letting fear make your decisions for you. It's not about denying your feelings. It's about not letting them dictate your choices. You realize that you are not a slave to your impulses but the master of your own actions. This is the power of emotional detachment. It's not coldness or indifference. It's the ability to stay grounded no matter what happens around you. It's the strength to make decisions based on what's right, not on what you feel in the moment. This mindset will take you further than any emotional response ever could. In a world where most people are reacting to their emotions constantly, those who remain calm, controlled, and calculated will stand out. They will rise above the noise. The more you practice emotional detachment, the more you will realize that the world does not control you. You control how you experience the world. And this is the ultimate freedom, the ability to choose how you respond to whatever life throws your way. When you stop reacting impulsively, you open the door to a more intentional, more empowered way of living. The journey to emotional detachment is not easy, but it's worth it. As you learn to observe your emotions without acting on them, you begin to free yourself from the chaos of emotional reactivity. You stop being tossed around by life storms and start navigating them with purpose. This is not a passive way of living. It's an active choice. It's a decision to take control of your reactions, to stay calm when everything else is in turmoil, and to make decisions based on logic, clarity, and long-term vision, not short-term feelings. The more you practice this, the more powerful you will become. It's the key to mastering yourself and your life. When you experience strong emotions, your brain literally shuts down your ability to think rationally. Your prefrontal cortex, responsible for logic and strategy, goes offline. You become an animal reacting to stimuli, making decisions based on immediate feelings rather than long-term strategy. This is where most people fall short. They let their emotions take the wheel, and that's when they make mistakes. When you're angry, scared, or anxious, you're not thinking about the consequences of your actions. You're simply reacting to the immediate stimulus in front of you, and that's dangerous. The truth is, we all experience moments of intense emotion. And in those moments, it's easy to lose sight of what's important. We start making decisions driven by the need to feel better right now, even though those decisions may lead to regret later. But here's the thing. Once you realize that your emotions can hijack your decision-making, you can start to fight back. The people who rise above this, they've learned to keep their minds clear. They've learned to act without letting their feelings cloud their judgment. They've developed the ability to step outside of their emotions, to observe them without becoming consumed by them. This isn't about suppressing emotions or pretending they don't exist. It's about not allowing them to control you. It's about recognizing when your emotions are driving you and choosing not to let them dictate your actions. It's about having enough self-awareness to pause and ask yourself, am I reacting based on how I feel in this moment, or am I making a decision with a clear mind? The answer to that question can make all the difference in your success, your relationships, and your overall well-being. Carl Jung once said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." To accept yourself means acknowledging both your strengths and your weaknesses, your emotions, and your rationality without letting any of them dominate. This is the key to emotional detachment. Not rejecting your feelings, but recognizing them without being controlled by them. When you can do this, you begin to experience true freedom. You are no longer a slave to your emotions. You are the one in control, making decisions based on logic and strategy, not fleeting impulses. And when you can remain calm, focused, and rational in the face of adversity, you will stand out. Part 4: Toxic People, Emotional Predators, and the Economy of Reaction. Some people do not know how to feel significant without creating a disturbance. They do not feel alive through peace, effort, growth, or contribution. They feel alive through reaction. Through making a room tense. Through getting under someone's skin. Through forcing other people to emotionally orbit them. If you have lived long enough, you have met this pattern in different forms: the provocative coworker, the manipulative ex, the friend who always brings chaos, the relative who turns every gathering into a stress test. The mistake many decent people make is assuming everyone is moved by the same values they are. They think, if I explain carefully enough, surely this person will understand. If I stay kind enough, surely they will calm down. If I prove my intentions, surely the issue will resolve. But some people are not after resolution. They are after access. They want your agitation because your agitation confirms their reach. That does not mean you become cynical toward everyone. It means you become discerning. It means you stop offering deep emotional labor to shallow provocations. It means you stop giving premium attention to people who show up with discount integrity. And yes, that can feel cold at first, especially if you were raised to over-explain, over-help, or over-function in order to keep relationships stable. But this is where self-respect starts to feel very practical. Your peace is not selfish. Your boundaries are not cruelty. Your unavailability to dysfunction is not a character flaw. In many cases, it is the first healthy thing you have done in years. Because every time you stop feeding unhealthy dynamics, you teach both yourself and the other person something real. You teach yourself that your energy is not public property. And you teach them that drama is no longer a reliable way into your world. While others are reacting emotionally, you'll be making thoughtful, deliberate choices that move you closer to your goals. The process of emotional detachment begins with self-awareness. It starts with noticing when you're about to make a decision based solely on emotion. That moment of recognition is crucial. Once you become aware of how your emotions influence your choices, you can begin to interrupt that cycle. Instead of immediately reacting, you pause. You take a breath. You step back and evaluate the situation logically. This pause doesn't need to be long. It's just long enough to create space between the emotion and your response. In that space, you have the power to choose your actions intentionally, not out of habit or emotional impulse. This ability to detach allows you to handle conflict with a level head. When others are yelling, getting defensive, or arguing from a place of emotion, you can remain calm and focused. You're not drawn into the chaos. You're not swept up in the drama. You see things clearly and make decisions based on what will bring the best long-term result, not what will immediately soothe your feelings. It's a powerful way to live because it means you don't let the world push you around. You stay grounded no matter what's happening around you. And when you stay grounded, you can move forward with clarity, purpose, and control. This doesn't mean you suppress your emotions or pretend they don't exist. Emotions are a natural part of being human. They provide valuable information about our inner world and our reactions to the world around us. But the key is not letting them take over your decision-making process. When you learn to observe your emotions without being ruled by them, you free yourself from the constant pull of your feelings. You can experience them, acknowledge them, but not let them decide your actions. This is the practice of emotional detachment. When you stop letting your emotions control you, you stop being a slave to the whims of life. You stop being at the mercy of every passing feeling. Instead, you become the one who determines your course. You become the one who decides how to respond, who chooses how to act. This is where true freedom lies. In the ability to control your reactions, to stay grounded when everything else is falling apart, and to make decisions that align with your long-term vision, not your immediate emotional impulses. Emotional detachment isn't about denying your feelings. It's about using them, understanding them, and choosing to act with intention, no matter how strong the emotions may be. The more you practice this, the easier it becomes. It's a muscle that gets stronger with time. At first, it's difficult to separate your feelings from your actions. But with each moment of awareness, each decision made with clarity, you begin to build the habit of emotional control. And over time, this habit becomes second nature. Eventually, you reach a point where emotional detachment feels effortless. You no longer react impulsively. You act intentionally with focus and purpose. This is where true strength lies. It's not in avoiding feelings, but in choosing how to respond to them. It's in taking control of your life and becoming the person who can navigate any situation with calm and clarity. This is the turning point. You must stop seeing your emotions as truth. Instead, start seeing them as noise. Emotions often feel so real, so immediate, like they are the most important thing in the world. But they're not. They're simply signals, like alarms ringing in your mind, but not necessarily indicating a real danger. Imagine yourself as a pilot flying through a storm. The instruments are going haywire. The alarms are blaring, warning of every potential risk. The amateur pilot panics, reacts impulsively, and crashes. The master pilot, however, remains calm. He doesn't listen to the chaos around him. He trusts his instruments, focuses on the horizon, and lands the plane. That's how you must approach your emotions. They will scream in your ear, telling you to act immediately, to react, to do something. But in those moments, you must become the master pilot. Instead of letting your emotions take the wheel, you must stay calm, focused on your course, and make decisions with a clear mind. Your emotions are not the truth of the situation. They are just noise trying to pull you off track. It's easy to get lost in the noise, to mistake the noise for guidance. But once you realize that emotions are not facts, they're simply your mind's response to the world, you can choose to navigate life with clarity rather than being swept away by every emotional storm. The challenge here is to learn to listen to your emotions without letting them dictate your actions. Think about the times when you've made decisions based on your feelings, maybe out of anger, fear, or excitement. How often did those decisions lead to the results you truly wanted? Often acting from a place of emotion leads to regret because emotions cloud our judgment. But when you learn to observe your feelings without reacting immediately, you regain control. You start to make decisions based on what you truly want, not what you're feeling in the moment. This practice of emotional detachment doesn't mean you become numb or insensitive to the world around you. It means you stop letting emotions hijack your decisions. You start making choices based on your long-term vision, not short-term emotional reactions. You begin to see your emotions as temporary experiences that don't have to dictate your behavior. This creates a profound sense of freedom. You are no longer a slave to your feelings. You are the one in charge. The world around you may be chaotic, but you can choose to remain steady. You don't have to be swept away by every emotional current. The key here is creating that space between your emotions and your actions. Most people react to their feelings, but you can learn to observe them without reacting. By doing so, you stop living in reaction and start living with intention. It's like creating a buffer between yourself and the world. When someone criticizes you, instead of reacting with anger or defensiveness, you can step back and assess the situation calmly. When fear arises, instead of letting it stop you in your tracks, you can recognize it and move forward anyway. This ability to pause, to observe, and then act with purpose is what separates those who are controlled by their emotions from those who control their actions. This doesn't happen by accident. It takes practice and awareness. The more you practice emotional detachment, the more natural it becomes. At first, it will feel difficult. Emotions are powerful forces and it's hard to separate yourself from them. But over time, you'll find that you are less controlled by them and more in control of yourself. The more you observe your feelings without acting on them immediately, the clearer your thinking becomes. You stop being driven by impulsive reactions and you start making decisions with wisdom and clarity. The world will continue to throw challenges your way and your emotions will continue to respond. But when you develop the skill of emotional detachment, you begin to see these challenges not as threats but as opportunities to practice. Each time you remain calm, each time you make a decision without being driven by emotion, you reinforce your ability to stay steady in any situation. You develop a resilience that allows you to handle life's ups and downs with grace and poise. Emotional detachment isn't about being distant or cold. It's about being clear. It's about living intentionally without being swept away by the emotional currents around you. It's about seeing life with clarity and making decisions from a place of wisdom rather than fear, anger, or desire. This is the freedom that comes with mastering your emotions. The ability to be in the world without being controlled by it. You can navigate the storm with calm and you can stay on course no matter what happens around you. Once you learn to detach emotionally, life becomes much simpler. You stop getting caught up in unnecessary drama. You stop reacting to every slight, every challenge, and every moment of discomfort. Instead, you see everything for what it is, an opportunity to grow, to practice, and to make better choices. When you feel anger rising, you acknowledge it and move forward without acting on it. When fear surfaces, you recognize it and choose to act anyway. This doesn't mean you're immune to emotions. It means you're no longer ruled by them. You become the observer, and that is where true power lies. Hope is paralyzing. It keeps you waiting, trapped in a cycle of if only and maybe someday. But while you're sitting around waiting for something to happen, life is passing you by. The difference between those who succeed and those who stay stuck is not that the successful ones have better luck, but that they take action. They don't rely on hope to pull them through. They rely on their ability to act decisively, to adapt, and to keep moving forward no matter what. This shift from hoping to acting is what separates the dreamers from the doers. Successful people take ownership of their journey. They don't wait for things to change. They change things themselves. They understand that every decision, every step is an opportunity to move closer to where they want to be. Mastering your emotions is crucial to this transformation. If your emotions are constantly in control, you will always be reacting to life rather than shaping it. Emotions are powerful and they can certainly fuel your motivation in the short term. But when they dictate your actions, you become a slave to them. When you act on impulse driven by fear, excitement, or frustration, you're not thinking clearly. You're not making decisions with foresight. Instead, you're letting the moment control you. This is why learning to detach from your emotions is key. When you do, you stop being tossed around by every wave of feeling. You stop waiting for things to happen. You take action even when it's uncomfortable. The truth is, your mind is your most powerful tool. When you control your mind, you control your life. Emotions are temporary, fleeting. They come and go. But your mind, your ability to think clearly and act strategically can remain constant. The key to success is not in being emotionally driven, but in being strategically driven. It's about having a clear vision of where you want to go and making the necessary decisions to get there, regardless of the emotional noise around you. When you make decisions based on logic and long-term goals, you're acting with intention, not reaction. And it's this kind of thinking that drives success. It's easy to fall into the trap of waiting for things to happen. We've all done it. We wait for the right moment, for the stars to align, for the conditions to be perfect. But the truth is, there will never be a perfect moment. Life is unpredictable and circumstances will always change. So if you're waiting for everything to be just right before you take action, you'll be waiting forever. The only thing you can control is your ability to act. And the more you act with intention, the more you shape the future you want for yourself. When you stop relying on hope and start relying on action, you shift your focus from the external to the internal. You stop waiting for something outside of you to change and you start focusing on what you can control. You become the creator of your own reality. Every decision you make, every step you take becomes a part of the path you're carving. No longer are you a passenger in your own life. You're the driver. And when you're the one behind the wheel, you can steer yourself wherever you want to go. This shift in mindset isn't easy. It takes practice. It takes discipline, but it's worth it. When you stop hoping and start acting, you'll begin to see the results. You'll start moving closer to your goals, and you'll start feeling more in control of your life. And with each step you take, you'll realize just how powerful you really are. When you act with purpose, when you make decisions based on long-term strategy, you begin to shape your own future. And that's when the real transformation happens. You stop being a passive player in your life and you start becoming the architect of your own destiny. It's time to stop hoping. It's time to stop waiting. It's time to start acting. Every step you take, no matter how small, is a step closer to where you want to be. The future isn't something that happens to you. The future is something you create. And the moment you stop waiting for things to happen and start making them happen yourself, that's when you'll truly begin to experience the power of action. As you begin to detach, to feel nothing, you'll find that the world becomes a game. The emotional turbulence that once defined your reactions becomes less of a burden. And instead of feeling swept away by life's chaotic moments, you begin to glide through them. Your emotions will no longer dictate your moves. You will no longer react impulsively driven by fear, excitement, or frustration. Instead, you will approach life with a calm, calculated precision, choosing your responses deliberately. This doesn't mean shutting off your ability to feel. It means taking control of those feelings. It's about understanding that your emotions are transient, that they come and go, but your ability to choose how you act remains constant. When you learn to detach, you don't lose your connection to the world. You gain the ability to see it clearly. You see what most people can't. The calm beneath the storm, the clarity amid the chaos. The chaos of life won't overwhelm you. It will be there. Of course, life is unpredictable, challenging, and full of obstacles. But you will embrace it, knowing that in the stillness there is clarity. You will no longer be disturbed by every little setback or disappointment. Instead, you will recognize that these are just parts of the game. They are not personal attacks or moments of failure. They are opportunities. While others are lost in panic or frustration, you will stay focused, observing the situation from a distance, analyzing it with the coolness of a strategist. Life won't be something that happens to you. It will be something you navigate with intention. You will see opportunities where others see threats. While others are drowning in emotional reactions, you will remain calm. And in that calm, you will be able to identify paths they overlook, solutions they miss, and strategies they don't even consider. This shift in perspective isn't just a mental trick. It's a way of life. Once you've detached from your emotions, once you've learned to let go of the constant need for external validation or emotional release, you step into a space of complete control. You stop being a victim of your circumstances and instead you start to see the ways in which you can influence them. You move with purpose, unaffected by the distractions around you. You become the observer watching the world unfold, and in that observation you find your power. Jung once said the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. This process of detaching from your emotions, of mastering your mind and your reactions, is part of that journey. It's the journey toward becoming the best version of yourself. One who is not controlled by fleeting feelings, but guided by rational thought and deliberate action. In this space, you are free. Free from the whims of your emotions. Free from the need for approval. And because of this, you become unstoppable. Your clarity gives you a sharp edge that others don't have. It's a level of mental and emotional discipline that allows you to act with purpose in situations where others might falter. As you move further into this state of detachment, you'll start to realize that you are no longer dependent on anything outside of you. You don't need validation, success, or approval to feel fulfilled. When you stop needing things from the world, you start to control the world. The person who feels nothing, who needs nothing, is the one who controls everything. This isn't about being cold or indifferent. It's about freedom. It's about being untethered, about not being at the mercy of the world's chaos. When you don't need things to be a certain way, you can face any challenge with the confidence that you can handle it no matter the outcome. This level of detachment is not something that happens overnight. It's a process, a constant practice of observing your emotions without reacting. It takes time, patience, and a willingness to confront your feelings without letting them dictate your behavior. But as you practice, you'll start to notice subtle shifts. You'll stop reacting to life's little irritations. You'll stop worrying about things that don't matter. You'll find that you can sit in discomfort without feeling overwhelmed by it. And slowly this detachment will become second nature. The power of detachment is not in its coldness, but in its clarity. You are no longer distracted by the noise. You are no longer swept away by the drama of life. You can see the world as it is, not through the lens of your emotions. This gives you a massive advantage over everyone else. While most people are too busy reacting to life to see opportunities, you'll be able to spot them clearly. Where others see risk, you'll see potential. Where they see obstacles, you'll see ways forward. This is the quiet power that comes from emotional detachment. It's not about ignoring life or avoiding challenges. It's about facing them with the confidence that you are in control. This doesn't mean you become numb to life's challenges. It doesn't mean you stop caring. It means that you care from a place of strength, not weakness. It means that your decisions are no longer ruled by emotional impulses, but by clear, rational thinking. It's the difference between reacting to life and responding to it with intention. When you master this, nothing can touch you. Life can throw its worst at you, but you'll be unshaken. You'll be the calm in the storm, the strategist in the chaos, the person who remains steady while others lose their heads. As you embrace this mindset, you'll find that you begin to thrive in situations that once felt overwhelming. You'll navigate challenges with grace and purpose. You won't be thrown off course by criticism, failure, or disappointment. Instead, you'll use these experiences to refine your approach and move forward. When you detach emotionally, you stop being reactive and start being strategic. You begin to shape your own destiny unaffected by the things that used to hold you back. This is the kind of power that can't be taken away. It's the power of being in control of your emotions, your reactions, and your decisions. It's the power of seeing the world not through the lens of fear or excitement, but through the lens of clarity and strategy. And once you have this power, nothing can stop you. The world will continue to throw its chaos at you, but you'll remain steady, focused, and ready to take on whatever comes next. Because when you can detach from your emotions, you become unstoppable. Remember, true power lies in your ability to stay calm amidst the chaos. When you detach from your emotions, you unlock a strength most people will never know. You become the master of your own life. No longer at the mercy of the world around you. Embrace that power and you'll be unstoppable. Have you ever tried to prove yourself in an argument and then felt the tension linger afterward? You started explaining your point. You carefully presented your reasoning. Maybe you even corrected someone publicly, feeling sure you were right. And in that moment, it felt powerful. It felt like control, like you were finally asserting yourself and standing your ground. But a few minutes later, the energy shifted. The room felt colder. Respect quietly slipped away. The conversation that once felt important slowly became exhausting. There is a subtle truth about human nature that people have noticed for centuries. The moment we try to dominate a discussion, we often surrender control instead. Proving we are right can trick the mind into thinking we are winning when in fact we are fueling tension and resistance. Arguments rarely teach or persuade. They often divide and drain. Real influence doesn't happen in the heat of conflict. It happens quietly in patience, in observation, in the moments when your mind stays calm even while others are losing theirs. Carl Jung once said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." And the moment you begin to understand that principle, the way you engage with conflict and with life itself begins to change. Most people believe arguments are about discovering the truth. On the surface, it makes sense. Two people disagree. They exchange ideas and eventually the stronger reasoning should win. But real conversations rarely follow that pattern. Most arguments are about ego. Someone feels dismissed. Someone senses their status is challenged. Their identity or competence feels threatened. And in that moment, the discussion shifts from understanding to defending. Small cues reveal it. A tightening jaw, a pause before speaking, a subtle change in tone. Pride takes control. Logic retreats. People stop listening for clarity and start listening for weaknesses. The harder someone tries to prove they are right, the less anyone else actually hears them. What remains is tension, subtle resentment, and distance that can quietly grow over time. Think back to your last heated exchange. Maybe it happened at work, at home, or online. At first, the issue seemed small, a difference of opinion, a misunderstanding, or a minor criticism. Then something changed. Voices grew sharper. Words became precise, almost like weapons. Instead of asking questions, statements were delivered to corner the other person. Each response carried more emotion. Soon the conversation was no longer about solving anything. It became about standing ground. Someone needed to be right. Someone needed to avoid looking wrong. By that point, the original issue was rarely resolved. All that remained was friction and an unspoken feeling that something important had been lost. This dynamic has existed for centuries. Observers of human behavior noted how quickly pride enters a discussion, seizing control before reason can intervene. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You always own the option of having no opinion." Most arguments continue because someone feels compelled to defend a position. Stepping back feels unnatural, yet it is profoundly liberating. Releasing the need to prove yourself allows space to observe what is happening. Observation more than rapid response restores control. Instead of reacting, you watch. You notice tone, posture, and the subtle emotional currents that guide every word. Arguments escalate because emotion moves faster than reason. The brain treats disagreement as a threat to status or competence. Reaction is almost instantaneous. Logic lags behind. Words are spoken from impulse, not clarity. Seneca once said, "No man was ever wise by chance." Wisdom requires awareness. It demands the discipline to notice what is happening inside your mind before your words leave your mouth. Without it, conversations become automatic reactions. The louder the emotion rises, the weaker reasoning becomes. People stop considering solutions. They focus on winning. Once you notice these patterns, a subtle shift occurs. Instead of reacting to provocation, you begin observing the dynamics at play. You see triggers, pride, and hidden motives behind every statement. You learn to respond deliberately rather than impulsively. Calm observation allows you to create space where insight can emerge. Tense conversations become mirrors, revealing not just the other person's patterns, but your own. Awareness allows engagement without losing control. You can influence without force. Over time, this practice transforms interactions. Validation before argument, observation before reaction, and awareness before engagement slowly reshape the conversation. The person across from you notices your steadiness. Their attempts to provoke are less effective because the usual responses that feed tension no longer appear. You are no longer caught in the emotional cycle of every disagreement. Instead, you guide the discussion quietly, preserving your energy and clarity. People naturally begin to approach you differently. They bring problems rather than arguments, questions rather than challenges. Your influence grows without confrontation because steadiness itself exerts authority. This approach requires no manipulation or deception. It is rooted in presence, patience, and self-awareness. You do not ignore the other person. You simply recognize the futility of certain conflicts and choose where to invest your energy. Aristotle once said, "Patience is bitter, but its fruit is sweet." The bitter patience of observing without reacting eventually produces calm, credibility, and influence. Your presence alone becomes stabilizing. Conversations become constructive rather than combative. Relationships improve not through force, but through consistent restraint and measured engagement. Ultimately, the mastery of conversation lies in choosing peace over victory. Calm steadiness shapes interactions in subtle but profound ways. You are not defensive. You are not reactive. You are steady. Your words carry weight because they are deliberate, not reactionary. Over time, people learn that arguing with you is unproductive. Influence comes quietly but consistently. The moments you resist the urge to fight become the moments where your control over the conversation and over your own mind deepens. And once this discipline takes root, you notice that life itself begins to move more smoothly because you are no longer drawn into every unnecessary conflict. If this perspective resonates with you, consider subscribing as a quiet commitment to cultivating calm, clarity, and wisdom in your own life. Each time you engage with this content, you take a deliberate step toward mastering your mind rather than reacting to the world. The deeper issue is that arguments often feel satisfying in the moment. There is a certain rush that comes from delivering the perfect comeback or exposing the weakness in someone else's logic. For a brief moment, it can feel like triumph, but that feeling fades quickly. What remains afterward is usually distance. The other person walks away remembering the tension rather than the insight. The irritation that fuels arguments is rarely about the other person alone. It often reveals our own sensitivities, our own insecurities, and the places where our identity feels fragile. Part 5. The world outside is loud, but the mind inside can be worse. At some point, this conversation has to turn inward. Because after you learn not to react to certain people, you discover something unsettling. A large part of your suffering was never caused by their behavior alone. It was caused by what your own mind kept doing with it after they were gone. One comment becomes a courtroom in your head. One setback becomes a story about your future. One awkward moment becomes proof that everyone noticed, everyone judged, everyone remembers. This is where the inner life becomes the real battleground. Not because your thoughts are evil, but because untrained thoughts are relentless. They turn moments into identities. They turn fear into prophecy. They turn uncertainty into a full emotional weather system. Maybe you know this intimately. Maybe the conflict ends, but your body stays activated. Maybe the email has already been sent, but your mind keeps editing what you should have said. Maybe no one is attacking you in the present moment, but your inner voice still talks to you like an enemy. In a culture obsessed with external enemies, this part often gets ignored. But the Stoics were right about one thing that remains brutally relevant: if you cannot govern your inner dialogue, no external wind will make you peaceful. This is why ignoring is not only something you do with people. It is something you learn to do with mental noise. Not by suppressing every thought, but by refusing to kneel before each one. A thought arrives. A fear arrives. A self-accusation arrives. And instead of treating every mental event like revelation, you begin to ask a quieter question: does this deserve my attention, or is it merely passing through? That question changes everything. Because once you stop assuming every thought is true, urgent, or meaningful, your mind becomes less like a courtroom and more like a sky. Storms still pass through. But they do not all become your identity. When someone challenges those areas, the reaction can feel automatic. But recognizing that reaction is the beginning of freedom. Instead of immediately responding with force, you begin to notice the pattern itself. Once you start seeing arguments through this lens, a different understanding begins to form. Disagreements are not tests of intelligence. They are tests of emotional control. The person who remains calm in the middle of tension usually holds the real advantage. Not because they have stronger opinions, but because they are not being carried away by the emotional current of the moment. Epictetus once said, "It is not things themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them." When someone disagrees with you, the disturbance rarely comes from their words alone. It comes from the meaning your mind assigns to those words. Perhaps it feels like disrespect. Perhaps it feels like rejection. But when you begin separating the event from the judgment, the emotional grip loosens. You can hear criticism without immediately turning it into a threat. And that single shift changes the direction of the conversation. The surprising result is that calmness often carries more influence than forceful arguments ever could. When someone refuses to be pulled into emotional conflict, the entire rhythm of the discussion changes. The tension has nowhere to attach itself. Instead of reacting quickly, the calm person listens, observes, and responds with measured clarity. Over time, people begin to notice that difference. They sense stability in someone who does not rush to defend themselves. They sense strength in someone who does not need to raise their voice to be heard. Slowly, without any dramatic display, the balance of the conversation shifts. Others begin speaking more carefully. The atmosphere softens and what started as potential conflict becomes something closer to understanding. From that point forward, the question naturally becomes less about proving yourself right and more about recognizing the deeper reasons we feel so compelled to argue in the first place. The real answer is pride. Most arguments do not begin with complicated ideas or deep disagreements. They begin with something much smaller. Someone questions your opinion. Someone criticizes a decision you made. Someone says something that makes you feel misunderstood, dismissed, or slightly disrespected. It can happen in seconds. One sentence is enough and almost immediately your mind begins preparing a response. You search for the perfect explanation. Your thoughts start arranging facts and examples. Your heart rate rises just a little. The body tightens in ways you barely notice. In that brief moment, the mind believes it is protecting itself. But something important has already happened beneath the surface. You have accepted the invitation to fight not with fists but with words. And once that invitation is accepted, the conversation begins moving in a direction that is very difficult to reverse. This reaction feels natural because the human mind is designed to protect identity. When someone questions your view, the brain often interprets it as a challenge to competence or intelligence. Even a small disagreement can feel like a subtle attack on who you are. That is why responses appear so quickly. The mind rushes forward to defend its position before reason has fully examined the situation. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." That observation reveals something quiet but powerful. The words spoken by the other person are rarely the real problem. What truly drives the reaction is the meaning your mind attaches to those words. When you interpret disagreement as disrespect, your emotions rise instantly. But when you see it as information, the situation changes. The same words carry far less weight. This is where discipline begins to matter. Most people react before they even realize they are reacting. The response jumps out automatically, shaped by habit and emotion. Yet there is a small moment between hearing something and responding to it. That moment is almost invisible, but it exists. In that small space lies a surprising amount of freedom. Epictetus once said, Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. Your reaction belongs to that small circle of things within your power. When you learn to pause inside that moment, instead of rushing past it, the entire direction of a conversation begins to shift. Instead of reacting automatically, you observe the situation as it unfolds. You notice the tone of the other person's voice. You notice your own rising emotions, and for the first time, you begin choosing your response instead of being carried away by it. The disciplined mind does something very different from the reactive mind. Instead of defending itself immediately, it becomes curious. Curiosity is surprisingly powerful in moments of tension. When someone challenges your view, curiosity breaks the expected pattern. Instead of pushing back, you slow the conversation down. You ask a simple question, something like, "Help me understand what you mean." Or "Why do you see it that way?" Sometimes you ask what concerns them most about the situation. These questions do not weaken your position. They change the structure of the exchange. Suddenly the other person is explaining rather than attacking. Their attention shifts away from confrontation and toward clarification. The conversation begins to move in a new direction where understanding becomes possible again. When curiosity replaces defense, the emotional temperature in the room often drops almost immediately. People rarely expect calm questions when they are prepared for resistance. The tension loses momentum because there is nothing to push against. Instead of building a wall between two opposing positions, the conversation opens a small path where both sides can look at the issue together. Seneca once said, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay." Delay does not mean silence forever. It means giving reason the time it needs to catch up with emotion. When you pause long enough to ask a thoughtful question instead of delivering a quick defense, you create space for clarity to enter the discussion. But curiosity alone does not dissolve every conflict. Words are only part of what moves people during disagreements. Beneath every statement lies a feeling that is often far stronger than the argument itself. Someone may speak sharply not because the issue is important but because they feel unheard. Someone may challenge your idea not because it is flawed but because they feel their own voice has been overlooked. When irritation appears in conversation, it often reveals emotional currents that logic alone cannot resolve. Recognizing those emotions changes how you respond. Instead of trying to overpower someone with reasoning, you begin noticing what the conversation is really about. Once you begin seeing these emotional undercurrents, your approach becomes more patient. You start listening not only to the words being spoken, but also to the feelings behind them. A person who feels respected becomes far more open to hearing another perspective. A person who feels ignored will often argue harder regardless of how strong the reasoning against them may be. That is why calm attention can be more effective than forceful persuasion. The goal is no longer to win quickly but to understand what is actually driving the disagreement. When people sense that they are being heard, their need to defend themselves slowly fades. This shift in perspective transforms the entire nature of disagreement. Instead of rushing to prove yourself correct, you begin observing the conversation as it unfolds. The focus moves from defending your position to understanding the situation. That small change may seem subtle at first, but its effect is profound. The argument loses its urgency. The pressure to respond immediately disappears. In its place appears something quieter and far more productive. A space where listening matters as much as speaking. And once that space begins to open, the conversation naturally moves toward a deeper realization about how emotions shape every conflict that follows. People rarely argue because they are searching for facts or clarity. The assumption that an argument is a search for truth is almost always misleading. Most arguments are driven by something far more basic, the need for validation. Someone feels dismissed. Someone feels unheard. Someone senses that their perspective, their effort, or even their presence is being overlooked. And the moment those feelings arise, logic quietly retreats. You can lay out facts, present evidence, or construct the most precise argument imaginable, but if the other person feels attacked, their mind shuts down before you even finish speaking. This is why careful attention to emotion is often more important than the content of the argument itself. It is the invisible current that controls the flow of nearly every disagreement. Yet, it is overlooked by most people who rush to speak before understanding. Imagine a situation where someone you care about or work with says, "You never listen to me." The instinct is almost immediate. You feel a surge to defend yourself, to prove that the accusation is false. "That's not true," you might respond. In that split second, the emotional fire stokes higher. The defense, however justified it may be, does nothing to reduce tension. It only strengthens the perception of opposition. The cleverer approach is different. You respond with calm honesty, acknowledging the feeling without surrendering your own perspective. "I can see why it might feel that way, or I understand that this is frustrating for you." That small shift, a few words carefully chosen, does something extraordinary. It interrupts the reactive rhythm. It removes the need for the other person to escalate, and it signals that their feelings are being recognized. Once a person feels heard, their mind softens, their posture relaxes, and the space for reason to enter expands naturally. There is a quiet power in acknowledging emotions before introducing logic. Logic without empathy often feels like a weapon. Empathy without understanding is empty. Epictetus once said, "Men are disturbed not by things but by the views which they take of them." In the context of disagreements, this is precisely what happens. People are disturbed not by your words, but by the meaning they assign to them. Recognizing that allows you to step into a different mode entirely. You are no longer engaged in a duel of statements. You are observing, listening, and subtly guiding the conversation toward insight. Validation is not capitulation. It is removing the emotional barrier that blocks constructive exchange. By acknowledging what is felt before what is argued, you create a foundation where clarity can arise without provoking defensiveness. Even when emotions are addressed, there is another layer to consider. Sometimes an argument persists. Not because someone believes they are objectively right, but because admitting they were wrong threatens their identity. Pride can anchor a position more strongly than any evidence. Once a person has publicly taken a stance, retracting it feels like a loss of self. Socrates once said, "He is richest who is content with the least, for content is the wealth of nature." In this context, contentment is not about accepting the other's perspective. It is about reducing the need to demonstrate superiority in every exchange. By recognizing the role of pride, you can understand why arguments can continue long after the factual dispute has been resolved. It is a battle over image rather than insight, a struggle to preserve dignity rather than a search for truth. The beauty of addressing emotion first is that it simultaneously opens the door for discussion and removes unnecessary conflict. Instead of proving yourself correct, you create a space where the other person no longer feels the need to fight. This approach transforms the conversation into a joint exploration rather than a contest of wills. Observing the way pride and validation influence interactions can illuminate patterns in your own responses. You begin noticing the triggers that provoke defensiveness, the moments when a reaction is automatic, and the small opportunities to intervene deliberately. Self-awareness becomes the foundation of influence, allowing you to act rather than react, to guide rather than dominate, and to preserve peace without sacrificing clarity. Once someone feels understood, their resistance diminishes naturally. You do not need to overwhelm with counterarguments or flood the room with evidence. Calm listening creates a psychological shift. The other person feels respected. Their mind relaxes and the argument often softens on its own. It is a subtle, almost imperceptible redirection of energy, but it is profoundly effective. Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." In conversations, wasting energy in defensive arguments is one of the easiest ways to deplete mental and emotional resources. When you focus on listening first, responding second, and understanding throughout, the time spent is productive, the interaction constructive, and the relationship preserved. There is also an important strategic element. Arguments rarely resolve if one person is trying to avoid looking wrong. When someone's self-image is at stake, they cling to their position even when they internally recognize its flaws. Understanding the psychological stakes of an argument is a form of wisdom. When you perceive that the real battle is not over facts, but over self-perception, you can choose how and when to respond. You are no longer participating blindly in a fight. You are observing the terrain, identifying motives, and selecting your actions with deliberate care. The conversation ceases to be a test of who is cleverer and becomes an opportunity to maintain stability, clarity, and composure. The transformation occurs when you shift from defending to understanding, from reacting to observing, and from proving to guiding. Once emotions are acknowledged and pride is respected, arguments lose their urgency. People begin to listen instead of attack. Words cease to be weapons and become tools for clarity. The conversation moves forward without unnecessary tension and both parties find a place where insight can emerge. In this space, disagreement no longer feels threatening. Instead, it becomes manageable, productive, and even illuminating. The subtle power of validation before logic, observation before reaction, and awareness before defense reshapes every interaction. And it is here in this quiet discipline that real control and influence begin. Human beings guard their dignity with an intensity that often surprises even those closest to them. It is woven into the very fabric of how we navigate the world. If someone feels cornered or forced to admit a mistake, the instinctive reaction is rarely a calm acknowledgement. Not because the person lacks intelligence, but because the mind is wired to protect identity. The threat of public embarrassment or perceived weakness triggers an almost automatic defense. You can see it in small ways. A tightened jaw, a quick rebuttal, a refusal to look at the other person. It is subtle yet powerful, and it completely shifts the dynamics of any conversation. One simple phrase like "you're wrong" carries far more weight than the words themselves. Even delivered politely, it can make someone's focus pivot entirely from the subject at hand to defending their own sense of self. The priority ceases to be clarity, solution, or truth and becomes instead self-preservation. But there is a path that avoids this trap without sacrificing your own perspective. Instead of confronting directly, you can gently invite reflection by showing that you once held a similar view. A simple "I used to see it that way too until I noticed something interesting" opens a door. It reframes the conversation. Suddenly you are not above them. You are beside them. Both of you were once in the same place of understanding. The difference is not presented as superiority, but as shared discovery. That subtle shift diffuses defensive energy and allows for reconsideration without threatening pride. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." The reaction to challenge, not the challenge itself, determines the tone of the conversation. By framing disagreement as exploration rather than correction, you preserve dignity on both sides while still steering toward insight. Still, patience and empathy are not guarantees that every disagreement will resolve itself. Some people cling to their stance for reasons deeper than logic or emotion. Their identity is intertwined with their position. Trying to force them to change or confront them aggressively almost always backfires. It risks escalating tension, triggering deeper defensiveness, or permanently closing channels of communication. In these moments, knowing when to redirect the discussion becomes crucial. Rather than continuing a dialogue that reinforces resistance, the skilled communicator shifts focus. This can mean addressing a different aspect of the topic, inviting them to consider a broader perspective, or even pausing entirely to allow reflection. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." The principle extends to conversations. It is often wiser to preserve the relationship and the possibility of influence than to force immediate agreement. One practical method of preserving dignity is subtle alignment with shared values. Instead of negating an idea, you can connect with elements of it that are valid or admirable. For instance, if someone proposes a plan you disagree with, acknowledge the intent behind it, the care, effort, or reasoning that motivated it. By validating the person's purpose, you reduce the instinct to defend while still creating an opening to introduce alternative perspectives. Seneca once said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Most of the tension in arguments is created in anticipation or projection of judgment rather than in the actual content. By addressing emotion before logic, you dissolve imagined threats and lower resistance, making real understanding possible. Ultimately, the mastery of conversation lies not in proving others wrong, but in cultivating an environment where ideas can be exchanged without ego interference. The skill is subtle, requiring observation, reflection, and a willingness to prioritize dignity over immediate victory. By applying patience, acknowledging emotion first, and framing differences as shared exploration rather than confrontation, the dialogue becomes a tool for influence rather than conflict. This approach preserves relationships, opens minds, and allows for the quiet integration of ideas. Over time, these practices create a rhythm where disagreements no longer escalate, and influence grows without force. In this way, patience, empathy, and understanding become the instruments of true conversational power, guiding interactions toward insight while safeguarding dignity and respect. Imagine two colleagues caught in a heated discussion over strategy. One insists the plan is too risky. The other argues that it is necessary. The voices rise, interruptions occur, and the air thickens with frustration. This is a familiar scene in offices, families, and even among friends. Yet, a single calm question can reset everything. Let's step back for a second. What outcome are we both trying to achieve? The focus moves away from ego and toward purpose. The conversation now revolves around results, not superiority. Defensive walls begin to lower because the discussion is no longer about who is right. It is about what works best. The dynamic changes from confrontation to collaboration, and what initially seemed adversarial becomes a shared exploration. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth." When perspective shifts, the argument often loses its force without a single point being conceded. Using silence effectively requires patience and awareness. It is not avoidance and it is not submission. It is the deliberate choice to let the emotional current settle before introducing thought or guidance. In this space, insight becomes possible. The conversation is no longer dictated by reactive impulses but by conscious intention. This practice is particularly valuable when dealing with people whose pride or emotional investment is high. Rather than attempting to overpower them with reason or argument, you allow reflection to occur, giving their mind time to encounter their own inconsistencies or unexamined motives. Often the pressure to respond immediately is a product of anticipation rather than necessity. Silence lets reality catch up with expectation. When reframing and silence are combined, the effect is magnified. A well-timed question can redirect focus, while a pause can diffuse tension long enough for rational thought to emerge. The person across from you is no longer trapped in the emotional loop that drives most conflicts. They begin to think instead of react, to consider instead of oppose. This is the essence of influence without force. It is not about dominating the conversation or proving a point. It is about creating conditions where insight, understanding, and cooperation can flourish naturally. Observing not only your own impulses but the emotional rhythms of the discussion allows you to act with clarity and restraint, shaping the dialogue rather than being shaped by it. Ultimately, mastery in dialogue is achieved not through dominance, but through subtle guidance. Reframing discussions and applying silence create a rhythm where arguments lose momentum and understanding grows. Defensive walls fall naturally when focus is on shared objectives rather than personal victory. People begin to listen not out of obligation but because the environment you cultivate encourages thought over reaction. The conversation becomes a space for reflection and clarity, not for prideful assertion. Each disagreement becomes an opportunity to recognize the currents of ego, emotion, and perception, to adjust your own responses, and to guide the dialogue toward resolution. By mastering the art of reframing and the power of silence, influence is exercised without confrontation, and interactions shift from conflict to cooperation, quietly and profoundly. Silence is far more powerful than most people give it credit for. Yet, it is often deeply misunderstood. Many believe that remaining quiet makes them appear weak, as if failing to respond immediately is the same as conceding defeat. The truth is the opposite. Calm silence can carry more authority than 100 arguments. The moment someone provokes you and you respond instantly, you have already surrendered control. Their words have pushed a button inside you and your reaction confirms it. But when you pause, when you allow that brief interval to stretch just a little longer, the dynamic changes entirely. The energy in the room shifts. The conversation loses its frantic rhythm. Part 6. Emotional detachment is not numbness. It is clean contact with reality. The phrase emotional detachment scares people because it sounds like deadness. It sounds like shutting down, disconnecting, becoming robotic, becoming incapable of love or intensity or grief. But that is not what healthy detachment means. Healthy detachment means your emotions are allowed to exist without becoming your commander. You still feel anger. You simply do not hand it the steering wheel. You still feel desire. You simply do not confuse desire with direction. You still feel fear. You simply stop bowing to fear as if it were authority. This is subtle work. It is not flashy. It does not make for dramatic social media clips. But it is one of the clearest dividing lines between a life governed by impulse and a life governed by intention. In the modern world, emotional expression is often treated as moral proof. If you feel it strongly, it must be true. If you express it loudly, it must be authentic. If you respond immediately, it must be honest. But honesty without discipline can still wreck your life. Many regrets do not come from feeling. They come from obeying feeling before understanding it. The Stoic move is not to deny emotion. It is to hold space between emotion and action. That space may only be a breath at first. A pause in the hallway before you answer. A walk before you send the message. A night of sleep before the decision. But inside that tiny delay, your freedom grows. The prefrontal, strategic, adult part of you gets time to come back online. And that is where dignity returns. Because the more often you practice not acting from the first emotional wave, the more you realize something astonishing: you can feel deeply without becoming easy to manipulate. You can care without collapsing. You can stay soft-hearted and still be dangerous to chaos. That combination is rare. And that is exactly why it becomes power. The other person faced with your restraint often begins filling the space themselves. They clarify their own words, soften their tone, and sometimes even reconsider the assumptions behind what they said. It is in this space that influence quietly emerges without a single raised voice or pointed retort. Silence interrupts the cycle of conflict because it forces time into the exchange. When both parties are rushing to assert themselves, logic is drowned out by emotion and conversations spiral into defensiveness. By simply pausing, you create a gap where reasoning can enter, where reflection can occur, and where composure can guide the next step. Marcus Aurelius once said, "How much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it?" In silence, you prevent the immediate flare of anger from taking over. And in doing so, you reduce the likelihood that the conversation will leave lasting damage. The person who learns to remain quiet in the face of provocation gains a subtle authority. They are no longer pushed around by circumstance or emotion. Instead, they shape the exchange through restraint and attention. Silence is not emptiness. It is presence. It is observation, and it is a form of unspoken power that few ever use deliberately. Yet silence is not simply about waiting. It is an active practice that requires awareness and intentionality. Stoics understood this deeply. They cultivated the ability to pause before reacting to allow reason to emerge after the initial surge of emotion. Epictetus once said, "There is only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things which are beyond the power of our will." In conversation, silence becomes the vehicle for this principle. You focus not on controlling what the other person says, but on regulating your own responses. You maintain equilibrium while observing the interplay of words, tone, and subtle emotional cues. This deliberate pause transforms what could have been a reactive exchange into a measured dialogue. The room grows quieter and the conversation often follows because your calm has interrupted the usual rhythm of escalation. Even with mastery of silence, it is important to recognize that not every situation is resolvable. Some conflicts persist no matter how disciplined or patient you are. Others will not shift because the other person is invested in defending an idea or identity at any cost. Accepting that some arguments are unwinnable is a cornerstone of calm influence. It is a recognition that control is not in forcing agreement but in managing your own state of mind. You may not convince everyone and you may not resolve every dispute, but you can protect your composure, maintain your dignity, and preserve your energy. The act of remaining silent in these moments is not surrender. It is choosing wisely where to invest your attention and influence. Silence practiced consistently subtly changes the landscape of every relationship and interaction. When others realize that their provocations no longer elicit immediate reactions, they begin to approach conversations differently. They pause, reconsider, and often moderate their tone without any overt instruction. The power of this approach lies not in domination, but in the quiet establishment of boundaries. It signals that you are grounded, that your equilibrium cannot be easily disturbed, and that emotional manipulation or rash challenges will no longer dictate your behavior. Seneca once said, "He who is brave is free." Silence is a form of bravery in social interaction, a freedom from the tyranny of immediate impulse, and a means to exert control without aggression. This approach also has a profound impact on your own mental state. Reacting instantly keeps you trapped in cycles of emotion, frustration, anger, and resentment long after the conversation ends. By embracing silence, you create space for reflection, preventing escalation both in the moment and afterward. The practice strengthens emotional resilience, allowing you to choose responses that align with your principles rather than with transient feelings. It is a disciplined pause that enhances clarity, focus, and strategic thinking. Aristotle once said, "Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom." In conversation, silence is a tool for self-knowledge, allowing you to notice triggers, recognize patterns, and respond deliberately rather than reactively. Finally, the subtle power of silence extends beyond immediate conflicts. It influences how people perceive you over time. Those who respond with calm restraint are not seen as timid or weak. They are seen as deliberate, measured, and reliable. Their words carry weight not because of volume but because of timing and precision. They cultivate an aura of stability that reshapes interactions before they even begin. The strategic use of silence combined with careful observation and thoughtful engagement allows you to navigate conversations with far greater control. It teaches patience, preserves relationships, and creates influence without confrontation. Plato once said, "Wise men speak because they have something to say, fools because they have to say something." In mastering the art of silence, you join those who speak with intention and act with presence, guiding discussions, not through force, but through the quiet authority of restraint and understanding. Some people are not actually looking for understanding. They are looking for opposition. They are driven by the need to assert themselves, to challenge, to control the rhythm of the conversation rather than to engage in exploration. You've likely encountered someone like this. No matter how carefully you phrase your thoughts, how calmly you explain or how patient you remain, they push back. Every discussion turns into a debate, every disagreement becomes a performance. It is exhausting because you cannot win by logic alone. Trying to convince them can feel like talking to a wall. And the more effort you invest, the more resistance seems to arise. It is in these moments that the usual rules of conversation no longer apply. The person you are engaging with has already decided that disagreement is more important than insight. Reacting to them with your usual tactics only feeds the cycle, reinforcing tension and drawing you into unnecessary conflict. The solution, counterintuitive as it may seem, is to withdraw your energy. Not out of fear, not out of submission, but as a deliberate choice to preserve your calm and focus. You do not need to correct every misunderstanding. You do not need to explain every decision. You do not need to justify your life choices to someone who has already made up their mind. Calm detachment becomes the most potent form of influence. When you acknowledge another person's perspective politely and then choose not to engage further in proving yourself, you maintain control of your mind while releasing the tension that drives conflict. Seneca once said, "We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more from imagination than from reality." In this case, the imagination of conflict, the anticipation of argument is more exhausting than the reality of the exchange. By stepping back, you remove yourself from the drama without losing integrity. The benefits of this approach are subtle but profound. When you stop investing energy in battles that cannot be won, something shifts. Your conversations become quieter. Others may continue to push, but their attempts are less effective because you are no longer reacting impulsively. The dynamic changes from confrontation to observation. You notice patterns in how people attempt to provoke and you learn where your own triggers lie. Calm detachment does not mean you stop caring or stop engaging entirely. It means you choose where engagement is meaningful. Time, attention, and emotional energy are finite resources. Allocating them wisely allows you to focus on discussions that matter, decisions that matter, and relationships that matter. In effect, the less you expend on unnecessary conflict, the stronger your influence becomes. As this practice develops, people begin to notice. They notice that your words carry weight not because of volume or intensity, but because of measured intention. They notice that attempts to provoke you no longer succeed in eliciting a reaction. You become difficult to manipulate, difficult to anger, and difficult to distract. This is a quiet authority, not one imposed by dominance, but earned through composure. Carl Jung once said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." In this context, making the darkness conscious means recognizing the emotional currents, the pride-driven provocations, and the triggers that others attempt to exploit. Once you see them clearly, you no longer need to fight them. You respond with awareness, not reflex. And in doing so, the other person's ability to control the conversation diminishes naturally. Withdrawing your energy is also a strategic investment in your own well-being. Engaging endlessly with people who thrive on opposition drains vitality, focus, and patience. It depletes mental resources that could be directed toward creation, problem-solving, and personal growth. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Here the obstacle is not the other person's words themselves, but the impulse to react to them. By redirecting your attention by refusing to give power to their provocation, you transform what could have been a drain into an opportunity. The energy saved can be used to influence situations where reasoning, patience, and dialogue can actually make a difference. The distinction between expendable conflict and meaningful engagement becomes clearer with practice. This approach does not require manipulation or deceit. It is rooted in presence, self-awareness, and understanding of human behavior. You are not ignoring the other person. You are recognizing the futility of certain confrontations and choosing to preserve energy and clarity. It is a form of mastery over oneself, not over others. The person who practices this becomes increasingly resilient. They are able to navigate conflicts calmly even when provoked and can maintain focus on meaningful objectives rather than being drawn into unnecessary battles. Over time, as this discipline is integrated into daily interactions, the effect compounds. People approach conversations with you differently. They notice a steadiness that is rare, a quiet presence that does not react to every provocation. You do not need to argue to be respected. You do not need to escalate to be heard. Your calmness shapes the environment and shifts the dynamics of dialogue naturally. By withdrawing energy strategically, you preserve not only your peace of mind, but also your ability to act with intention. Observing the provocations of others, and choosing where to invest your energy becomes a tool for self-knowledge, influence, and effective communication. Over time, these choices create a presence that is both unshakable and quietly compelling, allowing you to navigate social interactions with a strength that does not need to raise its voice. Over time, this discipline begins to shape the way people perceive you in ways that are subtle yet profound. When someone rarely engages in arguments, when they do speak, it is heard more carefully, more thoughtfully. Words carry weight not because of volume but because of consistency and calm authority. When you maintain composure under pressure, your presence itself begins to stabilize the environment around you. People instinctively adjust to your steadiness even if they do not consciously recognize it. Carl Jung once said, "In all chaos there is a cosmos. In all disorder, a secret order." By cultivating calm amidst the chaos of conflict, you become a living example of that hidden order. Conversations that once spiraled into tension now take on a different rhythm, one shaped by observation, reflection, and quiet influence. As this pattern continues, the effect extends beyond individual conversations. People begin to seek your perspective instead of confrontation. They bring problems to you rather than arguments, questions instead of disputes. This is the subtle authority earned through restraint. A type of influence that does not demand attention, but commands it naturally. Understanding your own reactions, recognizing when to step back, and consistently choosing calm over agitation builds a reputation that others intuitively trust. They see that you are not easily manipulated, not easily drawn into unnecessary battles, and that your focus remains on solutions rather than proving a point. This quiet competence encourages cooperation and mutual respect in ways that loud argumentation never can. The discipline of choosing peace over victory also enhances emotional clarity. When you refuse to react impulsively, you gain time to consider what is truly important, what merits engagement, and what can be allowed to pass without consequence. Decisions are made with intention rather than reaction. Conflicts are assessed for their significance rather than their emotional charge. This clarity reduces stress, conserves energy, and prevents the entanglement that so often accompanies reactive argumentation. By intentionally stepping back from unnecessary arguments, you prevent imagined conflicts from dictating your emotional state, preserving mental and emotional resources for situations where deliberate action is meaningful and productive. As your steadiness becomes recognized, people begin to approach you differently. They speak more cautiously, consider your perspective more openly, and are more likely to collaborate than to compete. The environment you create becomes calmer, more constructive, and less prone to conflict. Relationships gradually improve not through persuasion or force, but through the consistent demonstration of patience, restraint, and rational composure. Observing interactions without reacting impulsively provides insight not only into the motivations of others, but into your own patterns, allowing growth and refinement in how you engage with the world. The discipline of calmness becomes a mirror for self-awareness, creating influence without aggression and change without confrontation. The ultimate effect of this practice is transformative. You become a stabilizing force. Someone whose presence encourages reflection, measured dialogue, and thoughtful problem-solving. People instinctively know that attempts to provoke or control will not succeed, and they adjust accordingly. The energy that once fueled endless arguments is redirected toward productive exchanges, toward shared objectives, and toward relationships built on respect and trust. Choosing peace over victory is not a sign of weakness. It is the hallmark of strength. It requires observation, self-control, and the willingness to prioritize long-term stability over short-term triumph. Each moment of restraint reinforces the pattern and the cumulative effect is profound. You are not defensive. You are not reactive. You are steady. Your presence becomes a quiet authority, a stabilizing factor in interactions that might otherwise have spiraled into conflict. The discipline shapes not only conversations but your reputation, relationships, and inner life. The world responds not to force or aggression, but to calm, reasoned influence. And in mastering this discipline, you harness a power that many overlook, yet few ever achieve. This is the subtle art of remaining grounded, of choosing composure, and of cultivating influence through serenity and deliberate presence. Mastering the art of calm, of choosing peace over victory is not about avoiding life. It's about shaping it. When you respond with steadiness instead of reaction, you protect your mind, preserve your energy, and quietly influence the world around you. Every conversation becomes an opportunity for understanding, every challenge a chance to practice restraint, and every moment of calm builds the foundation of a stronger, wiser self. If you let these principles take root, you'll notice something extraordinary. People listen more, resist less, and your life begins to move with a rhythm you control, not one dictated by chaos or conflict. You've been giving away your power your whole life. And most of the time, you didn't even notice it. Every time you reacted to someone who didn't deserve it, every time you explained yourself to people who would never understand. Every moment you allowed someone else's words or actions to disturb your peace, you surrendered a piece of your freedom. The world kept moving, indifferent to the battles you carried inside your mind. And yet the power you've been seeking has always been within you, quiet, steady, unshakable, waiting for you to claim it. Stoicism teaches that nothing external can harm you unless you allow it. The moment you guard your attention, restrain your reactions, and hold your peace as sacred, you reclaim the authority that was never meant to leave your hands. True strength is silent. True freedom is deliberate. Every choice to protect your energy, every pause before reacting, every measured moment of restraint builds the life you were capable of living all along. It is in these moments of quiet intention that clarity emerges, priorities become clear, and the distractions that once dictated your thoughts begin to fade. Strength, after all, is not in force or volume. It is in the calm mastery of self. Every word you speak, every argument you join, every reaction you offer carries weight. But often it is weight that does not belong to you. It clogs your thoughts, drains your energy, and keeps you tethered to matters that will never serve your life. You feel compelled to explain, to correct, to justify. But the only person who truly needs understanding is yourself. Your time, your attention, and your calm are rare forms of wealth. Once given freely to the unworthy, they cannot be reclaimed. Think of attention as currency. When spent on those who demand it without return, it is lost. When invested in people and pursuits aligned with your purpose, it compounds, enriching your mind and your life. Each reaction given without thought is a withdrawal from your account. Over time, your reserves are depleted. Conserving attention is not weakness. It is mastery. Imagine someone attempting to provoke you. Their words are designed to pull you into a whirlwind that benefits only them. Every time you react, you confirm their influence. But when you withhold a response, you deny them that power. They are left confused, uncertain, trapped in the void you create. Meanwhile, your mind remains clear. Your heart stays steady, your energy intact. What they hope to steal returns to you, multiplied by restraint. When people try to pull you into conflict, they reveal themselves, not you. Their need for attention, dependence on drama, and compulsion to validate themselves become clear. The more you resist responding, the more evident it becomes that their attempts have no effect. The quiet observer holds the advantage because they operate from control, not reaction. Every pause, every withheld word, every measured silence becomes a shield. Within that shield, you are untouchable. You may wonder if indifference appears cold or uncaring. It is anything but. It is a conscious choice to protect your inner state, to prioritize what matters, to live according to values rather than impulses. Caring selectively, engaging purposefully, and investing only in what is meaningful forms the foundation of resilience. It creates a life where external chaos touches you lightly, if at all, because you have chosen which forces deserve space in your consciousness. If you value your focus, your calm, and the mastery of your own mind, consider subscribing. It's a deliberate step toward living intentionally, protecting your energy, and embracing the quiet strength that comes from self-mastery. The power of choice manifests most clearly in the small repeated decisions. The messages left unanswered, the arguments avoided, the debates declined. Each time you refrain from giving away your attention, you strengthen your sovereignty. You build an internal fortress that is impervious to manipulation, immune to distraction, and impervious to the trivial demands of others. The fortress is not built with walls of hostility, but with boundaries of discernment, with habits of reflection, and with the deliberate allocation of energy. Understanding your triggers is essential. The situations that provoke anger, the words that spark defensiveness, the criticism that unsettles you, these are the points where control can slip. To master yourself is not to avoid these triggers, but to meet them with measured response, with calm observation, and ultimately with the choice to do nothing. Every time someone calls your name in accusation or attempts to elicit reaction, you decide whether it is worthy of your attention. That decision is your power. Silence has consequences that words cannot replicate. It is a mirror in which others see themselves, not you. It denies them validation, leaves them suspended in uncertainty, and reveals the futility of their attempts to manipulate. While they expend effort trying to elicit a response, you preserve your focus, energy, and clarity. Time spent in restraint is not wasted, it is invested in your growth, your understanding, and your unshakable composure. To act without reaction, to exist without compulsion, is to live aligned with principle rather than impulse. You begin to observe life rather than be pulled into it. You conserve energy for matters that serve your purpose and release the illusion of obligation to those who demand it without merit. Each withheld response reinforces your autonomy. Each moment of restraint strengthens your inner stability. And each conscious choice not to engage preserves your peace. Jung once said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." By resisting the compulsion to explain, defend, or react, you discover the true contours of your own mind. You see clearly where your energy is spent, what you value, and which interactions matter. You cultivate clarity, resilience, and discernment. The act of ignoring the unnecessary, of refusing to react, becomes a mirror, reflecting not the chaos of the world, but the stability of your own reason. By choosing where your attention goes, by selecting which provocations you meet and which you let pass, you reclaim your life. You become the architect of your mental landscape, the guardian of your calm, the master of your inner state. Every interaction, every potential disturbance is filtered through judgment aligned with purpose. The discipline of non-reaction, of measured silence, transforms the ordinary into opportunity, and the chaotic into manageable. This is the beginning of mastery, not mastery over others, but over self. The strength to remain unmoved, the clarity to see value, and the patience to conserve energy form the foundation of inner power. Each choice, each deliberate moment of restraint brings you closer to the life you were capable of living all along. Seneca once said, "We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more from imagination than from reality." By learning not to react, you reduce unnecessary suffering. You discover that most disturbances have power only if you grant them entry. By withholding reaction, you deny them. You return focus to your goals, your purpose, your serenity. This is not avoidance. It is strategy. This is self-mastery. When you stop giving away pieces of yourself in fruitless conflict, when you guard your attention as a sacred resource, and when you choose silence over reaction, you are no longer at the mercy of the world. You move deliberately, act with purpose, and conserve what is truly yours. The strength to withhold, the courage to ignore, and the wisdom to remain unmoved form the essence of living a life of reason, freedom, and stoic power. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." By exercising restraint, you exercise freedom. Every moment you resist the pull of unnecessary engagement. You reclaim energy, preserve calm, and assert your sovereignty. Reaction is a choice, and by choosing carefully, you choose the life you wish to lead. Attention is a form of currency. Every glance, every word, every moment spent on someone is an investment. Unlike money, it cannot be earned back once spent. And yet, most of us give it away carelessly, hoping for gratitude, recognition, or approval that rarely arrives. The effort poured into justifying ourselves, explaining our choices, or reacting to provocations is returned in chaos, distraction, or frustration. And the truth is, no one benefits more from that exchange than the one who disrupts your calm. When you guard your attention, when you choose silence over reaction, you reclaim the control that has been quietly slipping from your hands. The power is not in engaging, but in discerning where your energy matters and where it does not. Each moment spent deliberately, each interaction chosen carefully is a reinforcement of autonomy. Every withheld response is a reclaiming of your own life, an assertion that your inner state is not a resource to be exploited by anyone who happens to demand it. Consider the people who constantly pull at your focus. The ones who thrive on drama. The ones who feed on conflict. The ones who seek validation by drawing you into their turbulence. Each time you respond, each time you react, you give them proof that they have control. But when you choose not to, when your attention becomes a scarce commodity, the balance shifts. The energy they expected to draw from you is no longer available, and the consequences are not obvious at first, but they are profound. The discipline to guard attention is not about ignoring responsibilities or abandoning care. It is about prioritizing what aligns with your purpose and values. It is about recognizing that your energy is finite and precious and that its allocation is a reflection of your priorities. By treating attention as sacred, you enforce a standard for interactions, one that discourages exploitation and encourages meaningful engagement. Part 7. Why most arguments fail before the first good point is even spoken. By the time two people begin arguing, the outcome is often being shaped by forces far below the actual content. Identity, pride, shame, the fear of looking small, the fear of being cornered, the need to feel respected, the need to avoid being seen as incompetent. That is why so many perfectly reasonable facts fail in the heat of conflict. Logic cannot land in a system that feels under attack. This matters in marriage, parenting, friendships, business, leadership, and team dynamics. A person can hear your sentence and respond not to the sentence, but to the social meaning they think it carries. They hear not, "Here's another perspective," but "You are wrong." Not, "Help me understand," but "Defend yourself." And once that happens, the conversation becomes less about truth and more about emotional survival. One of the most useful social truths in this entire script is simple: validation before logic. Not because you lie. Not because you surrender your thinking. But because a person who feels unseen will fight harder than a person who feels heard. Often the fastest way to reduce resistance is not better evidence. It is better emotional pacing. This does not mean you become a performer of fake empathy. It means you become observant. You notice the tightening jaw, the rising voice, the quick rebuttal, the subtle humiliation, the way the room changes when dignity feels threatened. Then you stop trying to win with force. You ask. You slow down. You acknowledge. You create enough safety for thought to return. And notice how different this is from the fake social ideal of always proving you are the smartest person in the room. That game looks powerful for 5 minutes and expensive for years. The deeper power is being the person who can hold tension without becoming tension. The one who can guide without dominating. The one whose calm changes the room before their argument ever does. When every word, glance, and gesture is intentional, the world begins to operate under your terms and you reclaim a quiet authority over your life. Imagine the difference it would make if every conversation you entered, every response you considered was measured against a single question. Does this deserve my attention? The habitual reflex to react, to explain, to justify fades when faced with deliberate choice. In its place emerges clarity, presence, and control. The moments that once scattered your focus are transformed into opportunities for growth, understanding, and composure. You begin to move through life not at the mercy of distraction, but as a steward of your own energy. Every refusal to engage unnecessarily is a statement of value. By withholding attention from those who seek to exploit it, you signal that your calm and focus are not negotiable. The response or absence of it becomes more powerful than any argument, more effective than any explanation. Others may attempt to provoke or demand your energy, but in choosing not to provide it, you retain your sovereignty. The quiet observer, untouched by drama and undistracted by trivialities, exerts influence simply by being controlled, deliberate and unreactive. Carl Jung once said, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed." When you engage reflexively, you allow transformation according to external influence. But when attention is guarded, when reactions are withheld, transformation occurs on your terms. You become the agent of change in your own life rather than the instrument of someone else's impulses. Silence and measured presence create a power that cannot be taken, a space where your purpose remains undisturbed. Seneca once said, "We are always complaining that our days are few and acting as though there would be no end of them." The same principle applies to attention and energy. Time and focus are limited. Their expenditure without reflection is a kind of theft from yourself. By being selective, by choosing where to engage and where to remain silent, you recover that which would otherwise be lost. You convert fleeting moments into lasting influence, inconsequential reactions into deliberate power. The quiet mastery of attention is the cornerstone of self-mastery itself. Consider how different your life would feel if each interaction was deliberate rather than reflexive. If each glance, each conversation, each decision to respond or remain silent was measured. You would discover an unseen strength. The world may still move unpredictably, but your inner state would remain constant, unshaken, and sovereign. Attention given selectively is influence earned naturally. Energy preserved becomes the soil in which purpose and achievement grow. By treating attention as currency, by investing only in what matters, you shape a life governed by intention rather than compulsion. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Guarding attention is mastery. Choosing silence over reaction is freedom. By reclaiming the moments that others hope to exploit. By discerning where focus belongs, you create a life where chaos, provocation, and distraction hold no dominion. The discipline to protect your energy is the foundation of all self-mastery. With each deliberate pause, each measured engagement, you assert the freedom that has always been yours, and you cultivate a mind that is unassailable, calm, and unshakable. From this place of intentional attention, everything else follows. Decisions become clearer, priorities more evident, and actions more potent. By refusing to invest in the unworthy, you make room for what truly matters. You reclaim power that was never meant to leave your hands. Each choice to guard your attention compounds into a life of focus, clarity, and inner freedom. The world will attempt to pull you into reaction. But when you move deliberately, when your energy is reserved for what is meaningful, you navigate it on your own terms. The mastery of attention is the mastery of life itself. There is a subtle force in the act of withholding a response. When others expect conflict and find none, their assumptions crumble. The need to provoke, to manipulate, to disturb is an energy they have invested in vain. And all the while you remain grounded, observing, and in full control of your own inner state. The Stoic path is clear here. Disturbances exist only if you permit them to. By practicing restraint, by letting silence speak for you, you reclaim authority over your own life and you demonstrate a strength that is invisible but unmistakable. The power of silence lies not in passivity but in choice. Every word you refrain from speaking is an assertion of control. Every unengaged provocation is a demonstration of your priorities. When you remain calm while others attempt to pull you into chaos, you create a psychological boundary that cannot easily be breached. Your mind is free, your focus unbroken, and your energy preserved. Others may act out of frustration or confusion, but the steadiness of your presence is a force that subtly reshapes the interaction without a single word exchanged. Silence also functions as a filter. When you engage selectively, when your responses are measured rather than reflexive, only matters worthy of your attention break through. Everything else fades into insignificance. You no longer expend energy on trivial conflicts, pointless debates, or attempts to prove yourself to those who will never understand. This is not avoidance. It is deliberate allocation of your mental and emotional resources. The moments once lost to reaction now become investments in clarity, composure, and strategic presence. Consider the unspoken message you send by remaining quiet. It communicates more than words ever could. Indifference, calm, and restraint create a gravity that draws attention without effort. People notice your steadiness. They perceive control and poise. Your silence becomes a presence in itself, commanding attention and respect. By mastering the art of measured non-engagement, you shape how the world interacts with you, and you preserve the most valuable resource you possess, your own energy. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. Silence is a practical exercise of this principle. It is the refusal to surrender your inner life to external pressures, the conscious choice to remain undisturbed in the midst of chaos. By withholding the immediate response, by allowing the moment to pass without reaction, you reclaim autonomy. Your mind is no longer a battlefield for others' desires. It is a sanctuary of calm, observation, and deliberate action. The challenge, of course, is inconsistency. Silence must be maintained not only in the easy moments but also in the provocative ones. Every time someone expects a reaction and you choose not to provide it, you reinforce a habit of autonomy. You teach yourself that your peace is not negotiable and that your energy is not a commodity to be taken lightly. Over time, the habit strengthens and the quiet authority it generates becomes instinctive. The person who understands the value of silence moves through the world with a gravity that cannot be fabricated, only earned through deliberate self-control. Through sustained practice, silence becomes more than a tactic. It becomes a state of being. It transforms reactive patterns into conscious choices. It turns wasted energy into preserved strength. It allows you to exist in a space where others' attempts to disrupt, provoke, or manipulate have little effect. In mastering silence, you cultivate resilience, clarity, and freedom. Qualities that form the foundation of a life led intentionally with reason as your guide, and with your inner peace held inviolable. Withdrawing strategically isn't about disappearing completely. It's about being present without being available. Showing up in ways that serve your purpose while withholding your energy when it does not. The choice is deliberate, not reactive. Sometimes you engage fully, contributing where it matters. Sometimes you step back, allowing the rhythm of presence and absence to create an invisible gravity that draws attention without effort. This is the subtle power few ever master. Yet it shapes perception more than any words or gestures ever could. Consider someone who constantly gives themselves away. Always answering messages immediately, always available, always accommodating. At first, it seems like reliability, like commitment. But over time, that constant availability dulls their presence. They become predictable, ordinary, taken for granted. The very openness meant to inspire connection now breeds familiarity and diminished impact. People notice, but they do not value because value is created in scarcity, not ubiquity. Now think about someone who is selective. They show up at the right time, in the right way, for the right reasons. Their presence is felt because it is not guaranteed. Their absence leaves space for curiosity and reflection. Each appearance is intentional. Each engagement meaningful. This is how influence is built quietly. Scarcity has power and you become the one who decides who gains access to your energy. Your presence becomes currency, not something to spend recklessly. The same principle applies in every interaction in life, whether personal, professional, or social. By deciding when to be fully available and when to retreat, you dictate the terms of your relationships and engagements. You are no longer pulled into every demand, every drama, or every expectation. Instead, you move according to purpose, guided by values rather than reaction. Each withdrawal is not a denial of responsibility but an assertion of control over your own energy. Silence and selective presence are intertwined. When you withdraw, you allow reflection, clarity, and observation to emerge. You see the patterns of others, the motives behind requests, and the nature of demands placed upon you. Those who seek constant access are often dependent on your attention. But when it is withheld, they must reckon with the value of what they hope to consume. The shift in dynamics is subtle but undeniable. Power lies in the ability to make your absence meaningful without needing to explain it. This is where strategy becomes visible. When engagement is scarce and deliberate, people adjust their perception. They value time with you more because it is limited. They notice your contributions more because they are not ubiquitous. You create a rhythm that others cannot predict. And in that unpredictability lies influence. By stepping back intentionally, you allow curiosity, respect, and even longing to grow. The very act of not being constantly available communicates boundaries and self-respect far more effectively than words ever could. Carl Jung once said, "Knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darkness of other people." By selectively engaging, you observe rather than react. You maintain a measure of distance that allows clarity. You preserve your energy for what is meaningful and meaningful alone. By withdrawing strategically, you protect yourself from being manipulated, overextended, or distracted. Your presence becomes intentional. Your actions deliberate and your focus unbroken. Over time, this practice transforms the way you move through the world. No longer do you chase validation or attempt to prove yourself through constant engagement. Instead, you let others recognize your value through the restraint you exercise. You engage only when it aligns with purpose, withdrawing when it does not. Each decision to step back is a silent statement of autonomy. You teach others how to approach you not by demand but by merit. In this way, presence and absence operate together, creating influence without effort, respect without coercion, and attention without obligation. Epictetus once said, "Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens." The rhythm of strategic withdrawal is the practical application of this principle. What is within your power is your engagement, your energy, your focus. What is not is the constant demand of others, the expectations that do not serve your purpose, the chaos you cannot control. By choosing carefully where and when to invest yourself, you align action with power, creating a life that is guided by intention rather than reaction. By practicing selective presence, by stepping back deliberately, you cultivate a sense of scarcity that commands respect. People notice the effort, the value, and the boundaries you maintain. Your influence grows not because of force or assertion, but because of the discernment you exercise in choosing where to appear. The careful allocation of attention becomes a tool of quiet authority. The moments you are present carry weight, and the moments you withdraw carry impact. You shape relationships, interactions, and outcomes simply through deliberate engagement and intentional absence. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." The obstacles of expectation, demand, and pressure transform into instruments of influence. When you master the rhythm of presence and absence, every withdrawal, every measured engagement becomes a strategy that shapes perception, reinforces boundaries, and preserves your energy. The art of not being constantly available is an act of control, a practice of sovereignty, and a cultivation of inner strength that few ever learn to wield. By understanding the power inherent in selective engagement, by recognizing that absence can be as influential as presence, you move through life with subtle authority. Each interaction is governed by choice, each engagement purposeful, each withdrawal deliberate. This approach transforms ordinary participation into influence, chaotic demands into opportunity, and scattered energy into focused power. The quiet mastery of when to appear and when to step back is the key to shaping your life intentionally, guarding your energy and commanding respect through the rhythm of presence and absence. Ignoring is more than withdrawal. It is psychological leverage, a deliberate act of preserving your energy while allowing the world to reveal its own patterns. When you choose not to respond to drama, criticism, or provocation, the person attempting to elicit a reaction is left with a void. Their mind begins to race to fill the silence with questions, scenarios, and assumptions. They replay the interaction endlessly, searching for meaning or confirmation that will never come. Meanwhile, your own mind remains calm, focused, and undisturbed, anchored in the clarity of choice rather than the chaos of reaction. Imagine living like this every day, untouched by the turbulence others try to impose. You encounter criticism, gossip, and provocation. Yet your mind is unshaken. Every word that could have drawn you into conflict instead slides past, unable to penetrate the walls of measured attention you have built. This practice does not isolate you from life. It positions you to engage with clarity and purpose, intervening only where your energy produces meaningful results. In learning to ignore, you create a space where influence comes from composure, not reaction, and where presence is recognized because it is earned, not given freely. The mind's need for closure works against those who attempt to manipulate through provocation. Human beings are wired to seek answers, to make sense of behavior and intent, and to restore equilibrium when it is disrupted. By remaining silent, you deny that closure, leaving others suspended in uncertainty. They are forced to confront the limits of their influence while you retain the calm and focus that cannot be disturbed without consent. In this sense, ignoring is an act of self-preservation and subtle power, a way of demonstrating control without confrontation. Carl Jung once said, "I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become." Each moment you choose not to react is a reaffirmation of that principle. You define your state of mind, your energy, and your priorities. The provocations of others no longer dictate your emotional or mental landscape. By exercising restraint and observing rather than responding, you become the architect of your own experience. Your calm is not given. It is claimed intentionally. And each act of ignoring strengthens the structure of your inner life. There is a profound clarity in refusing to feed negativity. When a person seeks to provoke, they are projecting their need for validation onto you. By denying it, you force them to face the reality of their own energy and intent. Their attempts to disturb you lose effect and your focus remains uninterrupted. Indifference does not isolate you from opportunities or meaningful connections. It filters the engagements you allow into your life. Only interactions that align with purpose and value are met with response while all others pass without effect. The discipline of ignoring requires patience and practice. Early attempts may feel uncomfortable as the habitual compulsion to react is deeply ingrained. Yet with consistency, you begin to notice the impact not only on others but on yourself. Your energy is preserved. Your mind remains clear and the space around you becomes one of deliberate calm. The people who previously drew power from your reactions lose their leverage and you gain influence simply by maintaining equilibrium. This is mastery not over others but over the environment of your own life. Seneca once said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Ignoring protects you from imagined offenses, from perceived slights, and from projections that others cast upon your mind. It allows you to live in the present, undisturbed by the unnecessary turbulence of others' expectations. Each moment of deliberate non-response preserves the clarity of your purpose, fortifies your mental and emotional boundaries and reinforces the sovereignty of your inner life. The act of ignoring becomes a daily practice of self-mastery, reinforcing calm, resilience, and deliberate focus. When exercised consistently, ignoring becomes more than a tactic. It becomes a state of being. It turns habitual reactions into conscious choices. It transforms the chaotic energy of others into opportunities for observation and reflection. By maintaining this discipline, you protect your time, your energy, and your attention while allowing the world to operate without extracting unnecessary cost from your life. The clarity, focus, and strength cultivated through this practice form the foundation for a life of intentionality, independence, and quiet influence. Aristotle once said, "Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom." Ignoring what does not serve you, choosing silence over reaction, and preserving energy for what truly matters is the practical application of this wisdom. The world may attempt to provoke, distract, or manipulate, but your state of mind remains intact. By mastering the art of ignoring, you reclaim authority over your life, protect the precious resource of your attention, and navigate existence with calm, purpose, and unwavering clarity. Some people should be erased from your orbit entirely, not violently, not with confrontation, but quietly, completely. They are the ones who drain your energy, spread negativity, or manipulate your emotions without adding any value to your life. Their presence is not neutral. It consumes time, focus and mental space, leaving less room for what truly matters. Protecting your energy is not selfish. It is survival. You cannot pour from an empty cup. And when you allow others to siphon your vitality, you weaken your ability to act, to create, and to live intentionally. Every interaction requires an investment of attention, emotion, and thought. Most people give it freely, unaware of the cost, hoping for gratitude or recognition that rarely comes. But when you remove the unworthy, you reclaim that energy. You create a clear space for pursuits that matter, relationships that nourish, goals that align with your purpose, and activities that foster growth. Each moment of selective disengagement reinforces your sovereignty and strengthens the walls of your inner citadel. By consciously removing the unworthy from your orbit, you prevent them from dictating the terms of your life. You stop playing a game that was never yours to begin with. Their demands, provocations, and manipulations lose power because they are no longer fed by your attention or energy. In the silence that replaces engagement, clarity emerges. You can see which interactions contribute to growth, which people bring value, and which situations deserve your presence. Carl Jung once said, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart." Who looks outside dreams? Who looks inside awakes? By removing those who do not belong in your life, you turn your focus inward, observing your own values, priorities, and purpose. You awaken to the reality that energy is finite and that control over it is the foundation of true freedom. The people you remove do not diminish your life. They illuminate the space in which your own intentions can thrive. This is not about creating distance out of fear or resentment. It is about creating space for what is aligned with your principles. By erasing the unworthy, you make room for people and pursuits that reflect your values, your vision, and your priorities. The clarity that emerges allows you to act with intention rather than being pulled by the chaos of demands, drama, and unnecessary conflict. You are no longer reactive. You are deliberate, measured, and sovereign in how you engage with the world. Seneca once said, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you." By eliminating the unworthy from your life, you follow this principle naturally. You surround yourself with those whose presence encourages growth, whose actions align with your values, and whose intentions are clear and honest. Every boundary you establish, every disengagement you practice reinforces your capacity to invest fully in what matters and prevents your attention from being diluted by trivial or destructive influences. There is a profound freedom in this practice. When you stop responding to those who drain you, you stop being pulled into cycles of anger, frustration, or obligation. Your mental and emotional resources are preserved, allowing you to engage in activities and relationships that matter. The absence of the unworthy does not create emptiness. It creates clarity, focus, and the ability to act intentionally. The life that emerges is richer, more aligned, and more sustainable because it is built on deliberate choices rather than compulsion. Even the act of quiet disengagement has influence. When someone is removed from your orbit, they encounter the reality of their own behavior and its consequences. The patterns they relied upon to manipulate or consume your energy are interrupted, often forcing reflection or adjustment. Meanwhile, you gain the profound advantage of space and control. By removing the unworthy without confrontation, you preserve harmony within yourself while allowing the external world to resolve its own imbalance. Energy, attention, and presence are among the most valuable resources we possess. When they are squandered on people who do not respect or reciprocate them, life becomes scattered, exhausting, and unfulfilling. By practicing selective disengagement, you assert ownership over these resources, ensuring they are directed toward relationships, projects, and pursuits that contribute meaningfully to your life. This is the essence of autonomy, the deliberate choice of how, when, and with whom to share your presence. Over time, this practice transforms not just your interactions, but the very quality of your existence. Spaces once occupied by conflict, manipulation, or exhaustion are now filled with clarity, opportunity, and meaningful engagement. Your focus sharpens, your energy multiplies, and your life aligns more closely with your intentions. Each boundary set, each withdrawal practiced, and each unworthy presence removed contributes to a life lived with sovereignty, purpose, and quiet strength. Part 8: Pride, Scarcity, and the Discipline of Not Always Being Available. One of the harsher truths of human behavior is that constant availability often lowers perceived value. That is uncomfortable to admit because many good people have built their identity around being endlessly reachable, endlessly helpful, endlessly responsive. But over time they notice a pattern: the more available they become, the more casually they are treated. Not because they are weak, but because familiarity without boundaries breeds assumption. This is not an argument for games. It is not an invitation to manufacture scarcity as a trick. It is a reminder that your presence matters more when it is guided by purpose instead of reflex. People notice what is measured. They respect what is not instantly consumed. They feel the weight of someone whose time is not for sale to every mood, message, and demand. Think about modern life again. The culture tells you to always be on, always be visible, always reply, always perform, always maintain your personal brand, always reassure, always explain your absence, always make yourself legible. But there is a strange dignity in becoming less available to nonsense. in not answering every bait, in not explaining every boundary, in not opening your door just because someone knocked loudly. What grows in that space is not arrogance. It is gravity. People begin to feel that there are terms to access. They feel that your attention is chosen, not extracted. And that changes relationships in ways words rarely can. Your presence gains contour. Your absence gains meaning. And you start to feel something many overextended people have not felt in a long time: ownership over your own rhythm. This is also where a more unsentimental understanding of society becomes clarifying. Not everyone wants closeness. Some people want convenience. Some do not value your generosity, they budget around it. And until you become more selective, they will continue to treat your energy like an endlessly renewable resource. Strategic absence teaches everyone involved that it is not. Control over emotion is the armor of the untouchable. External events have no power unless you grant it. Anger, pride, jealousy, and fear are levers that others instinctively try to pull, hoping to manipulate, distract, or destabilize you. But when you recognize these levers, when you cultivate deliberate indifference toward what does not serve your purpose, their power diminishes. You become predictable only to yourself and unpredictable to those who would test or control you. The foundation of this armor is awareness, self-discipline, and restraint. Emotions are not enemies, but tools. The key lies in understanding which ones serve you and which ones surrender your power. Anger can highlight injustice, but unchecked it consumes the mind. Pride can drive achievement, but if allowed to rule, it blinds judgment. Fear can protect, but excessive fear immobilizes. By observing these impulses without surrendering to them, you maintain sovereignty over your internal life. You become the governor of your emotional state rather than a subject to the chaos of circumstance. The armor of emotion is strengthened through repetition and reflection. Each encounter where you resist reaction, each situation where you withhold a defensive or reactive impulse adds to the structure of your inner resilience. This is not suppression but integration. A way of acknowledging feelings while refusing to be ruled by them. By understanding the triggers that others exploit, you remove the vulnerability they rely upon. Predictability in action is reserved for yourself. To the world you remain an enigma, unshakable and composed. Stoicism teaches that disturbance comes not from the events themselves but from our judgment of them. When a slight insult or setback occurs, the power lies in interpretation. By cultivating a mindset that interprets provocations as neutral, external, and often insignificant, the emotional reaction that once followed is replaced by measured observation. The less we allow ourselves to be moved by petty attempts at control, the more energy we preserve for purposeful action. Each moment of equanimity fortifies the inner citadel, rendering manipulation ineffective. Consider how often life tests you in small ways. A rude comment, an unreasonable demand, an unexpected setback. These moments are unavoidable. The difference lies in response. When you recognize your emotional triggers, observe them, and choose restraint, you prevent them from dictating behavior or clouding judgment. Your mind becomes a calm center amid chaos. And each deliberate pause reinforces both confidence and clarity. Emotional armor is built one choice at a time, a process that accumulates quietly but powerfully over time. Jealousy, envy, and fear are common levers others use to influence behavior. Recognizing them and observing their presence without surrendering to them transforms vulnerability into strength. The untouchable understands that the external world can only affect what is granted permission. Each decision to remain centered to act from reason rather than impulse adds to the defensive structure that ensures clarity, focus, and freedom. You become unpredictable, not erratic, but intentionally elusive, untouchable because your actions are guided by principle, not provocation. The cultivation of emotional armor requires ongoing reflection. Awareness alone is insufficient. It must be accompanied by disciplined practice. Each time a situation arises that would normally trigger anger, defensiveness, or fear, you have the opportunity to reinforce the armor. Each act of deliberate restraint trains the mind to respond from strength rather than compulsion. The result is not apathy but mastery. The ability to act decisively, thoughtfully, and with full command of mental and emotional resources. Seneca once said, "If a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favorable." Emotional mastery functions similarly. When you know how to govern your inner state, no external event can divert your course. Calm becomes a tool, clarity a shield, and restraint a weapon of subtle influence. Each interaction becomes navigable, each provocation manageable, and each challenge an opportunity to practice sovereignty over the mind. Emotional armor allows deliberate action in every circumstance, preserving energy, focus, and composure. Ultimately, the life built through mastery of emotion is one of resilience, purpose, and freedom. External forces may attempt to sway you, to provoke reaction, or to disturb your calm, but the untouchable remains centered. Emotional triggers are observed without surrender. Impulses are integrated without compulsion, and energy is preserved for meaningful engagement. Each moment of restraint reinforces autonomy. Each act of deliberate inaction consolidates focus, and the quiet strength that emerges forms the foundation for a life guided by reason, clarity, and inner peace. Aristotle once said, "Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom." Emotional armor is an expression of that knowledge in practice. Each pause, each controlled response, and each observation of feelings without surrender transforms self-awareness into sovereignty. The untouchable moves through the world with composure, influence, and resilience. By mastering emotional control, you build not just defense, but the freedom to act with intention, the clarity to prioritize what matters, and the strength to remain undisturbed in a world that constantly seeks to provoke, distract, or manipulate. Sometimes the most powerful move is inaction, choosing not to fight, not to prove yourself, not to explain anything that will not serve your purpose. The instinct to respond is strong, and yet the wisdom lies in restraint. By stepping back, by holding your energy instead of giving it away, you preserve focus for what truly matters. Situations often resolve themselves when left unforced, and the act of doing less creates space for clarity, perspective, and strategic advantage. Inaction is not laziness. It is a deliberate exercise of power. Each withheld response, each moment you resist the urge to prove or defend, is a demonstration of control over your own mind and resources. When provoked, choosing stillness forces others to reveal themselves. Their attempts to manipulate, provoke, or draw you into conflict lose effect. By doing nothing, you expose who truly values your presence and who is invested in distractions or illusions. Your calm becomes a mirror reflecting their intentions, and your composure is a signal of sovereignty that cannot be taken lightly. This principle extends to every aspect of life. The need to constantly respond, to justify, to compete can scatter energy and dilute influence. By observing rather than reacting, you conserve attention and mental clarity. Calculated inaction allows you to act only where impact is meaningful, turning minimal effort into maximum effect. The world becomes predictable in its unpredictability because your response is deliberate, measured, and unshakable. Those who attempt to provoke you may grow frustrated, fascinated, or uncertain. Yet you remain grounded, focused, and serene, moving only when it serves the greater purpose of your life. Carl Jung once said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. Inaction allows the darkness to reveal itself. The currents of tension, expectation, and manipulation that others carry. By remaining still, you witness patterns without being drawn into them. Awareness emerges naturally in these moments of deliberate pause, and understanding grows from observation rather than interference. In choosing not to react, you cultivate insight, preserving your energy for what truly aligns with your principles and intentions. Patience is a cornerstone of this strategy. The Stoics teach that time reveals clarity, that wisdom lies in discernment, and that mastery is knowing when to act and when to remain still. Immediate reactions often satisfy impulse but disrupt judgment. By holding back, you allow consequences to unfold naturally, and in doing so, you gain a perspective unavailable to those who move hastily. Each act of restraint reinforces self-mastery, demonstrating that influence is not gained through forceful action, but through the command of presence and attention. Calculated inaction also sharpens perception. When others expect a response and none is given, their true priorities become evident. Part 9. Stop hoping your emotions will lead you somewhere wise. There is another illusion that quietly sabotages people, the belief that strong feeling equals good direction. Follow your heart sounds beautiful in a movie. It can destroy you in a negotiation, a breakup, a career decision, a confrontation, or a season of self-doubt. Because emotion is vivid, but vivid is not the same as true. This does not mean the heart is useless. It means the heart is not sufficient. Emotions tell you that something matters. They do not automatically tell you what to do about it. Fear may show up before a worthwhile risk. Anger may show up before a needed boundary. Excitement may show up before a terrible decision. The feeling is information, not a command. Many adults know this in hindsight. They know what it is to send the text in anger, quit in pride, stay in fantasy, overpromise in hope, overreact in hurt, or make a major life call simply to escape the discomfort of the present feeling. The cost is rarely immediate. It unfolds later as regret, cleanup, apology, or years spent rebuilding what one impulsive reaction broke. This is why detachment has to be practiced not only in social conflict, but in ambition, love, disappointment, and self-concept. If your biology is always writing the script, your long-term vision never gets the pen. And the world will reward calmer people not because they feel less, but because they let strategy stay in the room when everyone else has become a hostage to the moment. So the real shift is this: stop asking, "What do I feel like doing?" and start asking, "What serves the life I am trying to build?" That question sounds less romantic. It is also the question that saves careers, relationships, reputations, money, time, and peace. You observe who seeks conflict, who desires validation, and who contributes meaningfully to your life. This clarity is invaluable. Those who engage in drama without your participation reveal the limits of their intentions, and you gain insight into the relationships, environments, and situations worthy of your energy. Inaction is a tool not of avoidance but of strategic discernment. Energy preservation is central to this approach. Every reaction consumes focus, emotional bandwidth, and attention. By choosing inaction, you redirect these resources toward meaningful pursuits. The effort that would have been spent on pointless engagement is instead invested in growth, clarity, and impact. Over time, this disciplined economy of attention strengthens mental resilience and fortifies the inner space where purpose thrives. Each deliberate pause is an act of conservation, a reinforcement of autonomy, and a subtle exercise of influence that multiplies with consistent practice. The impact of inaction is often invisible but profound. Others become curious, unsettled, or fascinated by the fact that your state of mind cannot be swayed by provocation. They attempt to predict your response, to test boundaries, and to draw you into their sphere, yet find only stillness. This stillness communicates authority more powerfully than words or force ever could. By acting less, you exert more influence. By appearing measured, deliberate, and untouchable, you shape perception and outcomes without effort, letting the rhythm of your presence dictate engagement on your own terms. Freedom emerges from this practice. By resisting the compulsion to react, to defend, or to prove, you reclaim control over your time, attention, and energy. Life becomes a series of deliberate choices rather than a chain of impulsive reactions. Your priorities guide action, and distractions fade into insignificance. Each moment of stillness reinforces self-mastery, and each pause creates the conditions for clarity, insight, and effective influence. Sometimes the most profound transformations occur not through action but through stillness. By withholding reaction, you create space for observation, reflection, and strategic intervention. You reveal who and what truly matters and who and what does not. The power of inaction lies not in absence but in presence tempered by restraint. It is the quiet assertion of autonomy, the preservation of energy, and the subtle shaping of influence. Marcus Aurelius once said, "He who lives in harmony with himself lives in harmony with the universe." Calculated inaction is the embodiment of that harmony. By choosing where and when to act, you maintain balance, control, and integrity. The world may provoke, distract, and demand, but your energy remains protected, your focus uncompromised, and your inner peace unbroken. Each decision to remain still strengthens clarity, amplifies influence, and secures the freedom that is the foundation of mastery. By understanding the power inherent in deliberate inaction, by observing without reacting, and by preserving energy for what matters, you cultivate a life governed by intention, insight, and sovereignty. Part 10: Emotional Armor, Calculated Inaction, and the Untouchable Mind. The final movement of this script is not about becoming cold. It is about becoming difficult to govern from the outside. There is a kind of person who walks through life as if every outside event deserves an inside collapse. A rude tone ruins the morning. A delay ruins the day. A slight ruins the week. A criticism ruins the month. But then there is another kind of person. They still notice. They still assess. They still care. They simply no longer grant every passing force executive authority over their internal state. That is emotional armor. Not suppression. Not performance. Not fake stoicism for the sake of an image. Real armor is built each time you notice a trigger and refuse to become it. Each time you feel the shove toward a reaction and choose stillness. Each time you decline to explain yourself to someone committed to misunderstanding you. Each time you let a storm pass without volunteering your mind as shelter. Calculated inaction belongs here too. Some situations improve because you intervene. Others improve because you stop feeding them. The ego hates this lesson. It wants movement. It wants proof. It wants dramatic self-assertion. But wisdom keeps discovering a quieter truth: not every fight deserves your fingerprints. Sometimes the strongest move is to do nothing visible while everything inside you remains ordered. Inaction, practiced wisely, is not laziness. It is selective force. It is the discipline to move only where movement matters. And when other people are expecting noise, your restraint unsettles them far more than another predictable argument ever could. They meet a wall they cannot read. More importantly, you meet yourself in a form that feels steadier, cleaner, less scattered. This is the point where silence, scarcity, attention, detachment, and self-respect finally join into one thing. They become a way of living. You are no longer trying to control everyone else. You are no longer trying to prove that you cannot be hurt. You are simply becoming someone whose peace is expensive, whose attention is deliberate, whose words are measured, and whose inner life is no longer open to occupation. The moments of restraint accumulate into authority, the silences into influence, and the deliberate pauses into clarity. Inaction, practiced wisely, becomes more than a strategy. It becomes a state of being, a reflection of mastery, and the ultimate exercise of self-mastery, focus, and enduring freedom. Your power has always been within you. Every pause, every moment of restraint, every choice not to react has been building the life you were meant to live, calm, focused, and untouchable. Carry that strength forward. Protect your energy and move through the world with purpose that cannot be shaken. Take a moment now and watch one of the videos on the screen to continue sharpening your mind, your discipline, and your clarity. Thank you for being a part of StoicCraft. Your journey toward mastery and inner freedom continues here. The real victory is not being unbothered. It is becoming unavailable to waste. So let us close the loop clearly. The point was never to become numb, aloof, or theatrically mysterious. The point was to stop leaking your life force into places that never deserved it. Your attention is currency. Your reactions are commitments. Your explanations are investments. Your emotional energy is not an endlessly renewable public utility. The more deliberately you give it, the more power returns to you. We walked through the outward world: conflict, toxic people, fake urgency, status games, manipulation, scarcity, silence, arguments, and the quiet social truth that many people are not asking for truth from you. They are asking whether they can still move you. Then we walked through the inward world: fear, self-criticism, approval hunger, emotional reasoning, the urge to discharge pain immediately, the temptation to hand your choices to your feelings, and the discipline of creating space between impulse and action. That is where self-mastery stops being a slogan and starts becoming a practice. If there is one sentence to remember, let it be this: the person who can choose where their attention goes can choose what their life becomes. That is the practical heart of Stoicism. Not passivity. Not repression. Not pretending life does not hurt. But learning that pain does not have to become performance, that discomfort does not have to become drama, and that every provocation does not deserve a place at the center of your mind. And if any part of this met you at the right moment, let it do more than inspire you for a night. Let it change one behavior tomorrow. Pause before the text. Delay the defensive reply. Refuse one argument you would have entered a month ago. Step back from one person who keeps feeding on your agitation. Protect 1 hour of your day from noise. Tell the truth with fewer words. Keep your center when the room tries to rent it from you. If this script gave language to something you have been feeling for a long time, let me know what landed hardest for you. Was it the idea of attention as currency? The truth about validation and pride? The discipline of silence? The need to stop being constantly available? Or the realization that your own inner voice has sometimes been the loudest manipulator in your life? Leave that in the comments, because the discussion matters most when it comes from lived experience, not empty performance. And if you want more work like this, deeper, calmer, sharper, more honest about modern life and the price of self-betrayal, stay close to StoicCraft. Like the video if it helped you. Subscribe if you want more scripts that turn ancient insight into modern psychological strength. But above all, protect your mind. Protect your energy. Protect the part of you that does not need to react in order to be real. That is where your freedom begins.